Chapter 1500. When Shi Shang returned to the dormitory, it was already past 7 p.m. Zhang Jia was alone in the dormitory. When Shi Shang returned, she did not react. She seemed to be in a deep sleep. Shi Shang called Ji-man. Ji-man's place was very noisy and he did not know where she was. She said that she would be back soon. Shi Shang reminded her before hanging up the phone. Don't come over. Zhang Jia suddenly screamed and waved her hands and legs in the air. Don't come over, go away, help, don't come over, please let me go, let me go. The yin energy in the dormitory was stronger than before, but Yang Wanwan and the baby were not there. Zhang Jia was probably affected by the yin energy and had nightmares. Shi Shang did not care about Zhang Jia. He put on his headphones and played by himself. Ji-man came back in the middle of the night and directly went to Shi Shang's bed. Xiao Tong, do you know what I saw? What? Shi Shang moved inwards and distanced himself from Ji-man. Ji-man felt that Shi Shang was making space for her, so she followed him. I saw Yang Wanwan with a man. She even had an abortion for that man. Do you think Yang Wanwan, could it be her child? Ji-man lowered her voice. She wanted to settle the score with Yang Wanwan today, but Yang Wanwan was not there. When she went out with her friends in the evening, she saw Yang Wanwan and a man getting into a car. Perhaps it was because of the bracelet that Shi Shang gave her. She could feel that something was wrong with her, so she followed them. Maybe. Mind your own business. Shi Shang turned away. Go to sleep. Don't bother me. Xiao Tong, don't sleep yet. Tell me, I'm curious. Ji-man was very energetic and excited. Shi Shang pulled the blanket over his face. Ji-man saw that Shi Shang really did not want to talk to her, so she muttered and went back to her own bed. Yang Wanwan did not come back for the whole night. She only came back at noon the next day. Ji-man was sitting at her table eating instant noodles. When she saw Yang Wanwan come in, she stared at her as if she was trying to find a ghost. What are you looking at? Yang Wanwan glared at Ji-man. Ji-man rolled her eyes and opened her mouth silently. She was looking at a ghost. What did you say? Say it if you have the guts. Yang Wanwan suddenly seemed to be angered. Ji-man, don't think that you're so great just because you know a few rich second generations. Who are you looking down on? Do you really think that she's really friends with you? She'll still dump you after she's done playing with you. Ji-man immediately put the instant noodles on the table. Who I make friends with is my own business. It's none of your business. Do you think you're a good person? The two of them started arguing in the dormitory. Shi Shang saw that the baby on Yang Wanwan's shoulder had grown bigger. The angrier Yang Wanwan was, the happier it seemed. What are you guys arguing about? You're so annoying. Zhang Jia, who had been sleeping, suddenly sat up. Yang Wanwan was instantly unhappy. Zhang Jia, who are you helping? I want to sleep. Go out and quarrel. Zhang Jia. The quarrel between two people was already noisy enough. Now that there were three people quarreling, the whole dormitory was immersed in the clamor. It was livelier than the new year. Shi Shang was the only one who sat aside and watched the show as if nothing had happened. The quarrel between the three women finally ended with Zhang Jia slamming the door and leaving. She thought that Zhang Jia was just angry and would come back later. However, Zhang Jia didn't come back even when she went to bed at night. Yang Wanwan then felt that something was wrong. She kept calling Zhang Jia, but she couldn't get through to Zhang Jia's phone. Zhang Jia's other classmates and friends said that they had never seen her. Although Ji-man didn't get along well with Zhang Jia, now that she was missing, she still used her connections to help find her. After searching for a whole night, no one found Zhang Jia. In the end, Zhang Jia's body was found in the artificial lake in the school early the next morning. It was the artificial lake where the perverted teacher was fished out. Because of the haunted incident at the school next door, the haunted incident at their school didn't stop. Now that the Zhang family suddenly died in this artificial lake, many students were scared out of their wits. However, the police quickly found out the truth. Zhang Jia jumped in herself. The surveillance camera clearly showed that around 3 in the morning, Zhang Jia walked over from the direction of the teaching area. She stood by the artificial lake for a while and then jumped into the lake. After struggling for a while, she disappeared into the lake. The sky was too dark, so they couldn't see Zhang Jia's face. However, from the analysis of her behavior, they didn't find anything strange. In the end, the police found out that Zhang Jia and her boyfriend had a conflict recently. Zhang Jia might have taken things too hard and committed suicide on impulse. Zhang Jia's parents didn't believe that their daughter would commit suicide, so they kept making a fuss in the school. Before this matter could be settled, another student in the school had an accident. That student fell asleep in a corner of the library. The teacher who closed the library didn't check all the places and missed her. She was locked in the library. Who knew that she would go crazy the next day? The surveillance footage showed that she seemed to be talking to someone and looked very frightened. After that, she kept running around the library alone. Her strange behavior made people feel creeped out just by looking at it. Now that 2 students had an accident, the school couldn't sit still anymore. What if there was really a ghost? The school secretly invited many people to take a look, but they were either scammers or people who knew a little. They cheated the school of a sum of money and didn't solve the problem. Instead, more and more people in the school saw the ghost. Xiao Tong, why can't I see the ghost? Ji-man scratched her ears and cheeks beside the Sheng. You might be able to see it if you take off your bracelet. Forget it. Ji-man felt a chill. It's better if I don't see it. If I really see it, it will scare me. It will ruin my beautiful image. Sheng chuckled. She knew that the ignorant were fearless. She wasn't afraid because she hadn't seen it before. Xiao Tong, do you feel that Yang Wanwan is becoming more and more strange recently? Ji-man changed the topic and looked at Yang Wanwan's bed with a strange expression. Yang Wanwan wasn't in the dormitory, but she felt that her bed was especially cold. It was as if someone installed a circular air conditioner and blew at her bed without any blind spots. Moreover, Xiao Tong said that she raised a little ghost. Ji-man continued to guess, what happened in the school, could it be related to her? Go and find out if the student who got into trouble has any grudges with Yang Wanwan. Then we will know if she did it. That makes sense. Ji-man immediately took out her phone to find out. After a while, Ji-man came over. There really is. The student who got into trouble has some grudges with Yang Wanwan. Damn. Ji-man seemed to be frightened. After a while, she said, but Zhang Jia has a good relationship with her. Sheng spoke indifferently, they're just more united when it comes to targeting you. Ji-man. Although Ji-man said that she wasn't afraid, she was more or less scared. Therefore, recently, she went in and out with Sheng. Chapter 1501. Yang Wanwan became more and more irritable. In a short time, the little ghost on her shoulder had grown to the size of a newborn baby. Qing Wu's skin was covered with hideous blue veins, looking very disgusting. Yang Wanwan wanted to hurt Ji-man several times, but she was the one who got hurt every time. She probably found something on Ji-man's body, so she stopped. After that, she didn't even go back to the dormitory. When they met at school occasionally, she looked creepy, making people alienate her unconsciously. It wasn't solved until the fake Ji Tong came out of Yen Ji's death. Sheng found that the Yin Qi lingering in the dormitory disappeared, and Yang Wanwan was taken away by the police. Although she didn't see it at the scene, she could guess what happened. Something must have happened to the fake Ji Tong's people, so the fake Ji Tong found out that there was a Yin spirit around him when he was depressed. Yang Wanwan had a boyfriend outside of school, but that boyfriend had a wife. After she got pregnant with the child, the man didn't want her to give birth to it. Yang Wanwan was still studying. If she got pregnant suddenly, it would be bad for her reputation, so Yang Wanwan aborted the child. After the abortion, Yang Wanwan didn't care about it, but soon she found that there was something wrong with her. Strange things often happened. Yang Wanwan asked for leave to go back to her hometown. She found a witch in her hometown. The witch said that she was haunted by a Yin spirit, but she didn't help her send the Een spirit away. Instead, she refined the Een spirit into a little ghost. Yang Wanwan used the little ghost to drive the boyfriend's wife crazy. After that, Yang Wanwan relied on the little ghost's power. If anyone dared to go against her, she would let the little ghost teach them a lesson. Perhaps the witch was just a dabbler, or perhaps the way Yang Wanwan raised the little ghost was wrong. In any case, although the little ghost had helped Yang Wanwan, it had also backfired on her, causing her to become less and less like a normal person. Zhang Jia's death was just an accident. She had been going in and out of the room full of Yin Qi. She didn't have Shi Shang to protect her like Ji-Man plus. She did have a conflict with her boyfriend at that time. She was weak and affected by the Yin Qi, so she chose to commit suicide by jumping into the lake. The special department should be involved in this case, so when the police announced that Yang Wanwan was mentally unstable, the rumors in the school finally stopped. After this incident, the fake Ji Tong returned to his normal routine. She seemed to have forgotten that Shi Shang had told her that she wasn't Ji Tong. However, every time she saw Shi Shang, she would take a detour and hide very quickly, so that Shi Shang had no chance to find fault with her. Shi Shang was too busy investigating his daughter-in-law to pay attention to her. Sun Che was from the school next door. He was also a popular figure in school, not because he was good-looking, but because he always looked like he was about to die. However, his physical fitness was better than anyone else's. He could run 3 kilometers without panting. Sun Che was a loner with a strange temper. Sometimes, he would stare at something for a long time. At first, everyone thought it was strange. What was there to look at? Later, someone discovered that he wasn't even looking at what he was staring at. He was just daydreaming. If it wasn't for his good looks, he would have been ridiculed to death. No matter what a good-looking person did, there would be people who would buy it. In this era where good-looking people were everywhere, people who were not good-looking did not dare to speak. Shi Shang finally got Sun Che's phone number, but when he called it, he found that it was no longer in service. The girl who gave him the number was innocent. This number was given to him when he entered the school. No one had taken the initiative to call him. Sun Che looked gloomy. No matter how good-looking he was, people could only look at him from afar. Every year, when new students entered the school, there were always people who wanted to flirt with this weirdo. The results were self-evident. They were either frightened by Sun Che's behavior or could not communicate with him. Gradually, everyone treated Sun Che as a decorative vase. The decorative vase Sun Che was looking at the girl who suddenly appeared in front of him. He stared at her for a full minute before moving his eyes away. It was not so obvious at night, but during the day, Sun Che's face was a little too pale. His whole body was surrounded by cold air. If he found a coffin and lay in it, no one would suspect that he was alive. Sun Che walked around Shi Shang and walked out of the school. "Little brother, I see that your glabella is dark. Are you sure you don't want to think about using it to ward off bad luck?" Shi Shang followed him and kindly suggested. Sun Che ignored him and walked quickly to a car with his long legs. He opened the door and got in. After closing the door, the car quickly slid out. "Shi Shang, you should at least say something." Shi Shang looked in the direction of the school. The spiritual energy was still abundant. It seemed that the spiritual energy source of the school had nothing to do with the temple. "Xiao Tong, Xiao Tong." Ji-Man stood opposite and waved at Shi Shang. After the car passed, Ji-Man dragged a girl and ran over. "Xiao Tong, why are you here?" "Chasing someone." Shi Shang put his hands on his waist and looked very melancholy. "Sun Che, are you really planning to chase him?" Ji-Man had heard a lot of news recently. This Sun Che was a little strange. It was not easy to chase him. Shi Shang continued to be melancholy. "It's not a plan. I'm already chasing him." It was just that the person he was chasing was a little difficult to deal with. He ignored her. "It looks like you're not doing well. Don't be afraid. Sister will help you." Ji-Man patted her chest and promised. "But, are you free now? Can you help me?" Shi Shang glanced at the girl beside her. The girl had been hanging her head since she came over, but her face was very pale. It was as if she had not slept for a long time. She looked like she was in a trance, and there was a strange aura around her. She can't be saved. I'm not helping. G-Man's eyes lit up. She hugged She Shang's arm and started to shake it. Xiao Tong, good Xiao Tong, help me. Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. She Shang pulled his arm back. I'm very busy. Who had the time to save others? She couldn't even save her own wife now. Xiao Tong, I beg you. G-Man could already use her advantage skillfully. She had no problem acting cute. Xiao Tong, just help me once. She Shang continued to be cold. I'm very busy. Xiao Man, forget it. The girl pulled G-Man's hand. Don't force others. She Shang glanced at the girl. He had no intention of softening his heart. He asked G-Man, are you going back or not? If not, I'm leaving. Xiao Tong. G-Man's face fell. Her eyes were full of pleading. I'm going back. Xiao Man, forget it. The girl grabbed G-Man. G-Man seemed to have thought of something. She quickly chased after She Shang with the girl. Xiao Tong, Sun Che's house is near Yu Yao's house. Are you really not going? She Shang stopped in his tracks and turned to look at G-Man. G-Man clasped her hands together. She almost lit incense for She Shang. She Shang sighed. For my wife's sake, I won't play games today. G-Man. F***CK, you said you were going to play games. The girl was a little confused. Who was his wife? G-Man. She looked at G-Man in horror. G-Man. Why was she looking at her like that? Chapter 1502. Song Yu Yao heaved a sigh of relief when the man disappeared down the stairs. Every time my brother comes back, he's always like this. He can't wait to go upstairs. Sometimes, he doesn't even eat. G-Man looked upstairs and asked She Shang with her arms crossed, what should we do now? I'll come over tonight. She Shang turned and left. G-Man quickly grabbed She Shang's arm. Xiao Tong, don't go. It's scary for 2 weak girls like me and Song Yu Yao to stay here. She Shang. What happened to being fearless? Although Song Yu Yao didn't say anything, there was some hope in her eyes. She didn't want to stay here alone. It was scary. This girl made her feel at ease. She Shang scratched his head. Think of a way to call your brother down. I'll go up and kill that demon. Demon? G-Man covered her mouth and looked around like a thief. Is it the kind of demon on TV? Were there really demons in this world? No, there were ghosts, so it wasn't strange for demons to exist. Song Yu Yao was obviously frightened by the demon. After a long time she stammered, Is it really a demon? Hurry up, I'm in a hurry. She Shang urged Song Yu Yao. If you don't go, wait until tonight. Song Yu Yao shivered and stuttered. My brother is back. He won't leave the room. No one can call him. Then I'll go in like this. If I'm scared to death, I won't take responsibility. She Shang raised his eyebrows. Song Yu Yao's face turned pale and looked at G-Man helplessly. G-Man was also embarrassed. She knew She Shang was different from others, but she should have been more tactful. Well, she wasn't her anymore if she was being more tactful. I'll try. Song Yu Yao gritted her teeth. Song Yu Yao took a few deep breaths before going upstairs. She knocked on the door, and it took a while before the door opened. The man changed into casual clothes. His clothes looked a little messy. She didn't know what he was doing. Seeing his sister standing at the door, he frowned slightly. What's wrong? Brother, my stomach hurts. Song Yu Yao clutched her stomach with a look of discomfort on her face. Because of the shock just now, her face was now pale, but she was not afraid of being exposed. Why does your stomach hurt? The man reached out to support Song Yu Yao and asked worriedly, Did you eat something bad? I don't know. "Brother, take me to the hospital." The man was a little unwilling, but seeing his sister so upset, he couldn't be cruel. "Where are your 2 classmates? They have something to do, so they left first." Cold sweat started to form on Song Yuyao's forehead. She felt like something was staring at her from inside the room. Her body trembled involuntarily, and her face turned even paler. "Brother." The man turned around and locked the door. "Bear with it. I'll send you to the hospital now." Song Yuyao glanced at the other end of the corridor. Shi Shang came out from around the corner and watched them leave the villa. After confirming that the man had left with Song Yuyao, Shi Shang walked to the door and kicked it open. The sturdy-looking door was easily kicked open. Ji-man was stunned at the side. "Oh my God!" Xiaotong was too violent. The scene in the room was unobstructed. The first thing that attracted people's attention was the guqin. It was placed neatly in the middle of the room with a thick carpet under it. There was also an incense burner burning beside it. It was obvious how much the owner treasured it. Shi Shang asked Ji-man to wait outside while he closed the door. He took out his sword and walked towards the guqin. The guqin seemed to have sensed danger. The strings of the guqin seemed to have been plucked by someone, and sharp single syllables sounded in the room. Every note was full of offensive power. Shi Shang walked to the guqin without looking sideways. He raised his iron sword and swung it down. The guqin was cut in half at the waist. The sound of the guqin suddenly disappeared, and a woman appeared at the side. The woman was dressed in ancient clothing. She covered her chest and glared fiercely at Shi Shang. "I have no grudge against you. Why did you attack me?" This woman was not bewitched by the guqin at all. She even cut the guqin in half so easily. The woman knew that she was no match for Shi Shang, but she had no other choice now. Shi Shang sneered at her. "Song Yuyao has no grudge against you. Why did you scare her?" The woman's expression changed. "I just wanted to drive her out. This is her home. Who are you to drive her out?" The woman said self-righteously. "Who is she to share his love with me? Is she worthy?" She was a demon sealed in the guqin. But that day, he used blood to wake her up. She was so happy to see the world again. Because she was awakened by blood, she automatically formed a contract with the person who woke her up. He liked her, and she liked him. They were very happy together. But that Song Yuyao was always suspicious and always talked bad about her. She wanted him to send her away. Of course, she was unwilling. That was why she wanted to scare Song Yuyao and drive her away. "You sucked his essence. Of course, you don't want to leave." Shi Shang exposed the woman's lie mercilessly. "When the seal was first broken, you were very weak. But after you were with him, you realized that you could recover your strength. So, you seduced him." "We really love each other," the woman retorted. "I just want to be with him." Shi Shang sneered. "Do you think I'm stupid? You've been sealed for so many years. It must have been done by humans. When you see a human again, you don't want to take revenge. Instead, you want to fall in love with him? The seal on your brain hasn't been broken yet? Don't talk to me about true love. If you really loved him, you wouldn't be willing to let him lose his essence to nourish your body." Shi Shang raised his chin slightly. "When you love someone, you'll feel that you're in the wrong even if he frowns." The woman was a little flustered, but she calmed down immediately. "How would you know what love is? If I want to be with him, I have to make sure that I'm alive." Shi Shang's face showed a trace of malice. "Then, did you tell him? Did you tell him that you're sucking his essence every time you have sex with him? Did he agree? He likes me so much. I'm sure he wouldn't mind." The woman tried to quibble. Her face became a little ferocious as she spoke. "He said that he's willing to give up everything for me. I agreed to be with him. What's wrong with asking for a reward from him? It's a fair trade. But why do you have to use the name of true love?" "I do like him." The woman smiled. The next second, she glared at Shi Shang fiercely. "This is between me and him. It's none of your business. Shi Shang shrugged. I don't intend to interfere either. Then what are you doing here? Someone asked me to kill you. The woman, wasn't this being nosy? Don't come any closer. Seeing that Shi Shang was about to make a move, the woman quickly said, How much did Song Yuyao give you? I'll give you double. Everything she has was given to her by him. I can give you even more. Shi Shang looked the woman up and down and said slowly, You're not as cute as her. Asterisk on Monday. On the list. Little cuties, vote for me. I'll give you double the love, 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 love. Chapter 1503. G-Man paced back and forth outside. There was no sound in the room, so she didn't know what was going on. That was a demon. She really wanted to go in and take a look. Just as G-Man was racking her brains, the door opened and Shi Shang came out with a ball of white in her hand. She was still as calm as ever, as if she had just gone for a walk in the room. G-Man fixed her eyes on the white ball. Fox spirit? You like it? Here you go. Shi Shang threw the dead fox to G-Man. G-Man instinctively jumped away. The fox fell to the ground and died with its eyes wide open. G-Man. Scary. The fox was dead, and Song Yuyao's brother suddenly fainted. Song Yuyao was lying to her brother, but now she really had to go to the hospital. Song Yuyao's brother looked fine, but after a checkup at the hospital, he suddenly became weak and malnourished, as if he had been abused. It would be strange if he was well after being used as food by the fox spirit. If it had been a few months later, he would have died. G-Man wanted to go to the hospital, but Shi Shang didn't want to go. She followed the road and walked to the villa at the end. The villa didn't look any different from other villas, but when she got closer, she found that the spiritual energy here was much more abundant than other places. It could be seen from the growth of the surrounding trees. However, Shi Shang didn't like the spiritual energy here. It was especially cold. The strange thing was, it wasn't because of the Yin spirit, but because the spiritual energy here was originally so cold. Shi Shang reached out to knock on the door. Before his hand fell, the iron door opened and Sun Che appeared in front of Shi Shang. It was still that pale face that could scare people to death. He stared at his trouser pocket indifferently. Sun Che didn't speak and just stared at him. Hello. Shi Shang waved his hand in front of his face, but the latter didn't react at all. Shi Shang looked down at his trouser pocket and took out a thumb-sized inner core. He handed it to him. Do you like it? That fox spirit was probably a very powerful one before it was sealed. It even had an inner core. Sun Che's eyes followed her hand and he reached out to take it. Shi Shang immediately shrank back. Sun Che's eyes followed her hand and he didn't want to look at her at all. It's not that easy. Sun Che finally looked up at her. He moved his pale lips. What do you want? She can speak. Well, it seemed that no one in school had ever said that he didn't know how to talk. They only said that he was too lazy to talk sometimes. Flips table, why didn't he just want to live? Do you need a girlfriend? Shi Shang grinned. The surrounding leaves rustled as the gloomy and cold spiritual energy revolved around Sun Che. At this moment, it was as if he was standing in the middle of a spiritual energy storm, allowing the spiritual energy to wreak havoc, but not a single bit entered his body. Shi Shang couldn't sense any spiritual qi in his body either. Obviously, he lived in the center of such rich spiritual energy, but there was no spiritual energy in his body at all. This was simply against social science. Sun Che moved his gaze away from the inner core and reached out to close the door. Hey, I'll see you out. Shi Shang quickly blocked the door. Let me in, okay? Sun Che paused in the act of closing the door and continued to stare at the inner core. This time, he didn't stare for long before he turned sideways. Shi Shang gave him the inner core and entered the villa. Sun Che closed the door and led Shi Shang into the villa. There was no one else in the villa. The gloomy and cold spiritual energy filled the entire villa. Don't you feel cold living here alone? I'm used to it. Perhaps it was because of the inner core that Sun Che spoke. His voice was clear. If one didn't look at his handsome face, it would be very attractive. The layout of the villa was similar to Song Yuyao's house, but the whole villa was covered with arrays. It was these arrays that gathered the spiritual energy in the surroundings. Your house is too cold. You really need a girlfriend. Shi Shang persisted. Think about it. You don't lack a girlfriend. A wife is fine too. I don't mind. Sun Che looked at him without saying a word. Shi Shang talked for a long time, but he ignored him. You can go now. After half an hour, he finally spoke. But these words made Shi Shang want to kill him. It was very difficult for Shi Shang to see Sun Che. He spent most of his time in the villa and drove to school by himself. He left after class and never stayed for long. If you talked to him, he would ignore you. He would ignore you as if you were air. Ignore you? Shi Shang pondered for a few days before he figured out that he could use the inner core to seduce him. But in this world, it was not easy to find a monster. Shi Shang spent a lot of effort to get an inner core from someone. Although it was not fresh, it did not have a shelf life. When Shi Shang came over with the inner core, Sun Che let him in as expected. Wastrel. He was more wastrel than the last. Sun Che held the inner core and sat down in the living room. You don't meet my criteria for a partner. Ha! Shi Shang did not react for a while. It took him a while to realize that he was picking up where he left off last time. My little brother is so impressive. You can still pick up on a topic that's been a few days. But criteria for a partner? You have criteria for a partner? Are you kidding me? Didn't you say that you only love I? Break up. Shi Shang gritted his teeth and sat beside him. What are your criteria for a partner? Sun Che bent down and took out a box from the drawer of the coffee table. He passed it to Shi Shang. The box was square in shape. It looked like sandalwood, but it was very heavy. It was not the weight that sandalwood should have. It was cold to the touch, but it was smooth like jade. What is it? Open it. Shi Shang turned the box and asked curiously, Isn't it sealed? He could not open it, nor did he see any mechanism. How could he open it? Open it, Sun Che repeated. I can be your girlfriend if I open it? I'll allow you to pursue me. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Damn, you've got guts. I'll torture you when you regain your memory. If I don't make you cry and beg for mercy, I will strip butt-face live. What does it have to do with me? Why do I have to be implicated even when I'm lying down? Shi Shang took a deep breath and smiled. I can open it however I want, right? Sun Che was silent for a while, then nodded slightly. Shi Shang put the box on the table, took out the iron sword, and slashed at the box without saying anything. Sun Che's gaze only shifted slightly when the iron sword appeared, then returned to normal. The box broke into pieces. It was not hollow inside. It was solid. No wonder it was so heavy. This thing is solid. You want me to open it? Shi Shang held half of the box and questioned Sun Che. It would be a miracle if he could open it. Yes, Sun Che said ambiguously. I'm going to rest. Take care. Shi Shang. Damn. What kind of person is this? I have a class tomorrow at 9 o'clock, Sun Che said. You have a class. What does it have to do with me? Shi Shang swallowed the last few words. I was convinced that he was so interesting. Don't ask Feng Ci why he did this. He wouldn't be Feng Ci if he didn't. Chapter 1504. Sun Che took the inner core upstairs and placed it together with the previous one. He paused for a few seconds, walked to the window and looked outside. Outside the villa, the sword in the girl's hand was gone. She stood outside with a cold expression and looked up at him. Sun Che drew the curtains calmly. At that moment, he could almost see her flustered and exasperated look. It was a little cute. The next morning, Sun Che woke up from the cold. His body was a little stiff. He took the inner core from the bedside table and held it in his hand for a while before releasing it. When he was done, Shang was already waiting for him outside. "Here's your breakfast." Che looked at the breakfast box and pursed his lips. "I've already eaten. You can have it." Shang frowned but did not say anything. He caught up with him. "You want to walk there? Classes start at 9 and it's already 8:20 a.m. It's too late to walk there. I'll take a taxi. Don't you have a car?" "I'm too lazy to drive." "Why don't you just die of laziness?" Shang sent Che to the school gate and he left without looking back. Just as Shang was considering whether to skip class and follow him in, Che came back. He stretched out his hand to Shang. "Phone." Shang passed him the phone and he quickly dialed a string of numbers. "This is my number. Don't call me if there's nothing important." "So why are you calling me?" "Flips table." The corners of Che's mouth seemed to curl up a little. Before Shang could see it clearly, he resumed his expressionless face. "At least you have my number." Shang's face was cold. "What's the use of that?" Che suddenly leaned forward and a gust of cold air poured over him. His lips almost brushed against Shang's cheek and his cold breath fell on her ear. "One more step and you might be able to have me." Shang. Crazy. He was eyes to begin with. Che put the phone into Shang's pocket. His trousers were very thin in summer. When his fingertips swept across the inside, there was a burst of cold air. It was extremely cold. Che left Shang's side and entered the school. Some people looked over to see who was so powerful to be so close to Che. Song Yuyao wanted to treat Shang to a meal to express her gratitude. Shang didn't want to go, but Ji-man dragged him along. Not only was Song Yuyao there, but so was the elder brother of the Song family. After the fox demon's death, he had no memory of what had happened before, only that he had obtained a zither. When he found out that the zither had been cut in two, he almost fainted from anger. Song Yuyao didn't hide anything from him, so she told him everything that had happened. That's how today's banquet with Shang came about. However, seeing the person who cut his zither and his savior, Brother Song felt a little awkward. Fortunately, he had been in a high position for many years, so he quickly restrained his emotions. "Miss G, thank you for last time. I didn't want to help. She begged me to help. If Che hadn't happened to be nearby, she wouldn't have helped. Xiao Tong is the best." Ji-man immediately flattered her. Brother Song smiled at Ji-man and thanked her. "Thank you, Xiao-man." Yuyao was frightened this time. "If not for you, I don't know how things would have ended. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. At that time, I just felt that the zither was very attractive to me. Sigh, let's not talk about this. Order whatever you want to eat. It's my treat today. Eat to your heart's content." Brother Song was 5 or 6 years older than them, so he naturally thought more than Song Yuyao and Ji-man. He pushed a box in front of Shang. "Miss G, this is a small gift to show my gratitude. Please don't mind." The box contained rich spiritual energy, so the thing inside was probably not ordinary. When the box was taken out, Shang felt 2 pairs of eyes looking at him. One was very familiar. It was Che's serious and cold gaze, and the other was a bit sharp and prying. Shang turned his head and looked for Che first. He leaned against the chair and stared at her. If it was an ordinary person who suddenly saw a person who looked like a corpse staring at them, they would probably be scared out of their wits. Sitting opposite him was a little girl who looked like she was 5 or 6 years old. She had a princess hairstyle and was eating seriously. Shang looked away and looked at the other side. Very good, it was also an acquaintance. The fake Ji Tong and the Ji couple were sitting together with 2 other men. The gaze belonged to the older of the 2 men. The 3 parties sat in the restaurant in a triangular formation. Che was sitting at the edge. It seemed that he deliberately chose a dark place. If people didn't look at him on purpose, they would first see the cute little girl and wouldn't notice the person who looked like a corpse sitting opposite her. "Brother, what are you looking at?" The little girl had finished eating and asked the person sitting opposite her. Sun Che looked away. Are you full? I'm full. The little girl nodded obediently. Go ask that sister if she can give you the box on the table. Sun Che pointed at Shi Sheng. Okay. The little girl didn't have any objections. She jumped down from the chair and ran to Shi Sheng. She pointed at the box and asked, Sister, can you give this to me? The little girl was very cute. Her face was chubby, and her pure and innocent big eyes seemed to be able to drip water. But such a cute little girl suddenly ran over and asked if she could give something to her, and it wasn't an ordinary thing. This was very strange. However, Shi Sheng directly handed the box over. Hold it tight. Thank you, sister. The little girl hugged the box and smiled. Brother likes you very much. Shi Sheng rubbed her head. Why? Brother only wants things from people he likes. Shi Sheng lifted her eyes to look at Sun Che before pinching her cheeks. Let's go back. Goodbye, sister. Everyone. You're so generous. You're giving it away just like that? A stranger? When G-Man saw who the little girl was giving the box to, she was very calm. Sun Che, that troublemaker. Ever since her Xiao Tong fell in love with this troublemaker, she became abnormal. Even if he wanted to pick stars now, she suspected that Xiao Tong would immediately go, let alone give him something. Shi Sheng took out another item from his space. Take it as an exchange. There's no need for a gift. I didn't do it for your sake. I said that I'll give it to you. How can I exchange it? I'm a businessman, but I'm a businessman with integrity. Miss G is my savior. If I can't even bear to part with such a small thing, how can I live in the future? Brother Song hurriedly pushed the item back. Although he felt sorry for the zither, he had to thank someone with such ability, even if she was a friend of his sister's friend. Moreover, she was so young and already had such ability. Who knew what she would become in the future? If he could get closer to her, of course he would do so. Chapter 1505. Sun Che took the box, and the little girl sat back on the chair and watched Sun Che open the box. The little girl's eyes lit up. What a beautiful crystal ball. Sun Che played with the crystal ball in his hand. There seemed to be water in the crystal ball, and it flowed slowly with his movements. Sun Che's pale face actually looked somewhat gentle at this moment. The little girl had never seen her brother like this before. Brother, you like that sister, don't you? The little girl looked away from the crystal ball and asked curiously. She's very interesting. Sun Che put the crystal ball back. Well, let's take sister home and let her accompany you. You won't be lonely then. When I'm not around, you can talk to sister and play games with her. You'll be very happy. The little girl's innocent words didn't seem so innocent if one listened carefully. She was going to kidnap him regardless of his wishes. Sun Che looked at the Shi Sheng and said, The car is here. I'll take you down. Aren't you going back with me, brother? The little girl pouted. I want to stay at your place today. No, your body can't take it. Sun Che refused. The little girl felt wronged, but she still obeyed. She walked to Sun Che's side and carefully held the corner of his clothes. Can sister stay? The little girl looked up and asked. Sun Che thought for a bit. I think, yes. That's great. Brother, you must take sister back. I'm going to tell Daddy and Mommy. The little girl and Sun Che disappeared from the restaurant. As soon as he left, the middle-aged man opposite the G couple got up and chased after them. Sun Che sent the little girl to the car. The little girl leaned against the window and kept talking to him. Sun Che just listened and didn't respond. Finally, the little girl finished. Brother, you must take sister back. I'll bring Daddy and Mommy over. Sun Che knocked on the window in front of him, and the driver immediately understood and reminded the little girl, Miss, we're leaving. Okay. The little girl was a bit disappointed. She waved at Sun Che. Goodbye, brother. When the car disappeared into the traffic, Sun Che turned around and saw the middle-aged man standing behind him. The middle-aged man was surprised by Chen Chei's face. It was good-looking, but it didn't look like a living human face at all. However, he had a human aura on him, which proved that he was alive. There was no spiritual energy around him either, so he wasn't a cultivator. Perhaps he was sick. As the middle-aged man thought of this, he relaxed and smiled. "Little brother, I wonder if you can sell the thing in your hand to me?" "No." The middle-aged man frowned, obviously a little unhappy. "Little brother, that thing is useless to you. Instead, it will bring you trouble. If you sell it to me, I promise you won't lose out." Chen Chei lowered his eyebrows and turned to leave. The middle-aged man's face darkened, and there seemed to be anger in his eyes. He didn't know what was good for him. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't look like a child from an ordinary family, he wouldn't have said so much to him. "Little brother, are you really not selling?" Chen Chei took a few steps and disappeared into the night. He didn't respond to the middle-aged man at all. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth. Stinking brat, refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. In the cafeteria, the fake Ji Tong noticed Shi Shang and the others. She immediately sized up Shi Shang and the Ji couple with a strange look. If she was the real Ji Tong, then who was she? Why did she become Ji Tong? Where were her memories? She didn't pay much attention to the details in the past, but now that she thought about it, she felt strange. She clearly didn't think she was particularly good-looking, but the people in school called her the school belle. Because she had always been the school belle in her memory, she just felt a little strange and didn't think much about it. Her life had become another person's life? The fake Ji Tong didn't know what was going on, and she didn't dare to tell anyone about it. She didn't even dare to tell Xie Wangqi. "Xiao Tong, what's wrong?" Mother Ji saw her daughter looking in a direction. "Do you know any friends? Do you want to go and say hello?" The fake Ji Tong's heart skipped a beat, and she quickly smiled. "No. You've been in a daze recently. If there's anything, you must tell us. Don't be like before and scare us to death." Mother Ji patted the fake Ji Tong's head, her face full of love. The fake Ji Tong grabbed the hem of her clothes. If they knew that she wasn't the real Ji Tong, they wouldn't look at her like that. Just as the fake Ji Tong was panicking, the middle-aged man came back. He politely said goodbye to the Ji couple. "Mr. Ji, we'll talk about this later. I have something urgent to do now." "Okay. Master, you're busy." Father Ji quickly stood up to send the middle-aged man off. The middle-aged man left the cafeteria with the young man. When he passed by Shi Shang and the others, he deliberately glanced at them. When he didn't find anything wrong, he quickly left. After the middle-aged man left, the fake Ji Tong asked the Ji couple to send her back to school with the excuse that she wasn't feeling well. "Isn't that our school belle, Ji Tong?" Ji Man saw the fake Ji Tong and poked Shi Shang's arm. Song Yuyao looked at Ji Man strangely. Ji Man explained, "Our school belle is also called Ji Tong. She's the one who went missing a year ago. Didn't I tell you before?" "Ah, isn't that the same name as Miss Ji?" Song Yuyao exclaimed. "What a coincidence." Song Yuyao's voice wasn't soft. The fake Ji Tong and the others who were walking not far from them could hear them. The fake Ji Tong immediately looked over. There was a hint of panic in her eyes. "Dad, Mom, let's go." The fake Ji Tong blocked the Ji couple's line of sight and quickly walked out. "That's strange. Why do I feel like she's a little afraid of you?" Ji Man continued to poke Shi Sheng. How could she not be afraid? She was an imposter. The fake Ji Tong and the Ji couple quickly left the cafeteria. Ji Man and Song Yuyao exchanged a few words and changed the topic to something that girls were interested in. After dinner, Brother Song wanted to send Shi Shang and Ji Man home. However, Ji Man still had an appointment and Shi Shang refused, so Brother Song could only send his sister home. After parting with Ji Man, Shi Shang walked along the street. It wasn't early at this time. The lanterns had just been lit. After the hustle and bustle of the day, the bustle of the night was descending. Shi Shang walked slowly. Gradually, there were fewer and fewer cars and the hustle and bustle died down. She looked at the person not far away and stopped in her tracks. "Waiting for me?" The boy walked out from the shadows. The street lamp cast a dim yellow light on his face. He didn't look so pale. His tall figure was cast on the ground, dragging a slender shadow. He walked slowly to Shi Shang and handed the box back. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. "Didn't you like it? Why are you giving it to me?" Sun Che didn't explain. He just stuffed the box back to her. Chapter 1506. Are you worried that I'll be targeted? Shi Shang looked at him in amusement. Are you worried about me or... Sun Che turned to leave. Hey, I'm not going to talk about it. Shi Shang caught up with him. The stuff inside must be good stuff. Keep it. It's useless to me. Shi Shang blanked out for a moment. Thinking of the spirit energy in his villa that was comparable to Yin Qi, this thing really didn't seem to be useful. Shi Shang pursed his lips. What's wrong with your body? Why did he have to live in such an environment? Sun Che paused. He looked at the girl beside him. There was nothing special about her, but she attracted his attention. Maybe he could consider Xiao Ning's opinion. Why are you looking at me like that? Shi Shang took a step back vigilantly. What was this idiot trying to do? Sun Che looked away and continued walking. I don't have classes tomorrow. Let's go hiking. Do you want to kill me in the wilderness? She wasn't imagining things. The look in his eyes was really weird. Forget it. Go, go, go. It wasn't that easy to kill her. If they were going to die, they would die together. Okay. You haven't answered my question. Sun Che ignored him and kept walking. He didn't want to talk about it. Shi Shang pursed his lips and stopped asking. They walked one after another. Shi Shang tried to move closer to him, but he didn't react. Shi Shang reached out to grab his arm. Only then did Sun Che react. But he only glanced at her from the corner of his eyes before continuing to walk. Shi Shang held his arm and felt like she was holding a block of ice. It was very cold. Let go if you're cold, Sun Che suddenly said after walking for a while. It's not good to be in contact with me for too long. I'm not an ordinary person. This cold was something she could withstand. Do you like me that much? Did she like him so much that she didn't care about her body? Yes. Sun Che seemed to chuckle, but he didn't. The noise around them suddenly became louder. They were near the school. Sun Che didn't seem to want to walk anymore. He looked at the school gate not far away. I'll walk you here. Shi Shang let go of him. See you tomorrow. Sun Che nodded and watched her leave. Just as she was about to enter the school gate, Sun Che's eyes suddenly darkened and he strode towards her. Shi Shang felt a cold aura coming from behind, and in the next second, he was pulled into someone's arms. Shi Shang shivered as she was suddenly pulled into a cold embrace. What's wrong? Sun Che didn't say anything. He walked into the school with her in his arms and only stopped when they were a long distance away. Something is following you. Didn't you notice? You mean that black shadow? Shi Shang hugged his waist and said, I know, but I couldn't catch him. He ran away too fast. Why? Did he appear again? You're worried about me, little brother. Let go. I won't. Sun Che reached out to pry her hand away, but he couldn't pry it away. He could only let her hug him. When did it start following you? Shi Shang thought for a moment. I'm not sure. When it first appeared, it was a little ghost who told me. I don't seem to have a strong sense of it. It's a little strange. She only felt it occasionally, but every time she looked at it, she either couldn't see anything or saw a dissipating black shadow. She didn't even know what it was, let alone catch it. What did you see? Sun Che shook his head. It was just a black shadow. I couldn't see what it was. Shi Shang's lips curled up slightly. Interesting. Their identities were inexplicably switched, and the thing was following her for no reason. I'll take you back to your dorm. Be careful. Little brother, you're just worried about me. Shishang looked at Sun Che with a smile. Sun Che walked Shishang back to her dorm. There were many students returning to their dorm at this time. Although Sun Che's complexion was a little pale, he was still a handsome guy. Naturally, he attracted a lot of attention. Sun Che didn't seem to like these people peeping at him, so he turned sideways to block most of their gazes. What are you looking at? Shishang yelled at them. Haven't you seen a girl in love? The girls who were yelled at felt embarrassed and looked away. Although some of them were still sneaking glances at him, they were not as blatant as before. Let's go up. Sun Che didn't correct Shishang. Little brother, your glabella is really dark. You need a girlfriend. Consider me. Shishang grabbed Sun Che's arm with a faint smile on her face. Sun Che. Glabella was a scammer. Shouldn't she say that she was lucky in love? It wasn't the first time Sun Che saw her smile, but most of the time, it was just a meaningless smile or a sneer. She would only show such a gentle smile in front of him. The ripples in her eyes seemed to be able to mesmerize him. He didn't bother to correct her. Instead, he pulled his hand back. Let's go up. Shishang. Boring. Shishang went upstairs without looking back. Sun Che inexplicably had a thought. She was unhappy. She wasn't angry. She was just unhappy. Sun Che stood downstairs for a while, thinking carefully about why he had such a strange thought. In the end, he couldn't figure it out. Seeing more and more girls around him, he hurried to leave. The next day, Sun Che came to pick up Shishang to climb the mountain. Those who didn't see him clearly last night saw him clearly. Suddenly, the news that Sun Che, a weirdo from the neighboring school, was dating Ji Tong spread like wildfire. Shishang didn't keep a high profile after entering school. Only her classmates knew that there was a girl named Ji Tong in her class. Therefore, when the news spread, many people subconsciously thought that the campus belle, Ji Tong, was dating Sun Che. Later, someone clarified that it wasn't the campus belle. Of course, Shishang didn't know this. She was sitting in the car, looking at the passing scenery outside. Hey, do you have to walk so far to climb the mountain? You look like you're going to throw me into the wilderness. Even if you don't like me, you don't have to be so cruel. They had been driving for 2 hours, but they still hadn't arrived. Yes. Sun Che gave a standard answer. Shishang sighed and lowered his head to play his game. The car drove for another half an hour before stopping. The nearby mountains and clear waters were beautiful, and the scenery looked pretty good. They got out of the car and walked along a small path. The path wasn't easy to walk on. It was rugged and very narrow. Sun Che walked in front, but it was as if he was walking on flat ground. He seemed to have walked on it many times. After walking along the rugged path, they saw a village. Smoke rose from the village, and they could vaguely see people moving in the fields. Sun Che didn't enter the village. Instead, he went around the village and went to the mountain behind it. Shishang didn't feel it when they were far away, but when they got closer, he could feel the yin qi on the mountain. Shishang looked at Sun Che, who was familiar with the path ahead. His purpose of coming here was obvious. Sun Che suddenly stopped and stared at the forest. Shishang stuck his head out from behind him and followed his gaze. The yin qi was especially strong in that direction. ## which hazel flavored votes for today #, Monday, my little babies. Vote. Chapter 1507. Mr. Tsin, it's still the same room as last time, but this young lady. The woman looked at Sun Che and Shishang and spoke cautiously. Sun Che had planned to go up the mountain, but he suddenly changed his direction halfway and led Shishang into the village. The village was round, and there were not many villagers. There were only about a dozen households in total. The villagers were not surprised to see him, and some even greeted him. Shishang did not feel anything when they walked around the village. However, after entering the village, she could clearly feel the strong yin qi floating in the air. The villagers were more or less tainted by the yin qi, so they did not look very good. Next door. The woman smiled honestly and said in Mandarin with an accent, "That's fine, but it might take a while to clean up. You can rest first. I'll bring you some food later." The woman quickly left, and Chen Che walked towards a room. "Do you come here often?" "Occasionally." Chen Che opened the door. It was very clean inside, and there was a rustic simplicity everywhere. "It's weird here. Why don't we live together?" Shisheng asked. "What if something happens? It'll be more convenient for us to live together, right?" Chen Che rejected Shisheng with silence. Shisheng talked for a long time, but Chen Che did not say anything. The words, "I refuse," were written all over his face. Shisheng's mouth was dry from talking. She rolled her eyes and went out to find some water. When she went out, she bumped into the woman. The woman was carrying a new quilt to the room next door. "Miss, what's the matter?" Shisheng looked at the woman and felt that there was something strange about her. "Do you have water?" "Yes, there's water from the well outside. We drink it directly in the mountains. It's very sweet. Wait a moment, I'll bring the quilt in and get some water for you." The woman was still smiling. Shisheng's hair stood on end. That's right, it was her smile. Since they entered the village, every villager had a smile on their face. Their smiles seemed to be carved from the same mold, stiff and strange. The woman came out quickly and walked out of the courtyard with that strange smile. There was a well outside the courtyard, and the surroundings were wet. Someone must have just fetched water. The woman skillfully put down the bucket and filled it with water. Then, she used the bowl beside her to fill it with water. "Miss, please drink." The woman handed the bowl to the Shisheng with a smile. Before Shisheng could take the bowl of water, a hand appeared beside him and caught it firmly. A clear voice sounded from behind, "You're not feeling well. Don't drink cold water." Shisheng looked at the bowl held by a frighteningly white hand. What she saw was not clear water, but a bowl of black water. Strange worms were wriggling in the water, and it emitted a foul smell. Shisheng took a step back in disgust and happened to fall into Chen Che's arms. Cold air instantly spread all over his body. Chen Che hugged her shoulders and pulled her into his embrace. He then returned the bowl to the woman. "Please boil some water." The woman did not suspect anything and nodded. "Okay." After the woman left with the water, Shisheng hugged Chen Che and said, "You scared me." "What was that?" The corner of Chen Che's mouth twitched. He did not see that she was frightened. She was obviously trying to take advantage of him. Chen Che could not get rid of her, so he could only bring her into the house. "You can see that something is wrong here. Don't go out if you have nothing to do. Don't eat the food they give you. I want to live with you. I'm scared." Shisheng did not know if she heard what he said. Chen Che was speechless. She was waiting for this sentence, wasn't she? Men and women should not touch each other. It's very safe next door. Chen Che rejected her coldly. "I don't think you're scared of them." She was taking advantage of him. Shisheng refused to leave. "You brought me here. If anything happens to me, you have to take responsibility." "I don't care. I want to sleep with you. This place is so strange. What if I get caught?" Chen Che was speechless. In the end, Shisheng defeated Chen Che by acting shamelessly. The main reason was that Chen Che did not reject her too harshly. If he had rejected her very harshly, Shisheng would not have forced him. "What's wrong with this place? Was it the same when you came here?" Shisheng sat on the bed and looked outside calmly through the half-open window. "The yin qi is so strong. No, the village used to be very normal." Shisheng raised his eyebrows. "Something interesting must have happened. What are you doing here?" She would be a fool if she still believed that he was here to climb the mountain. "The spiritual qi on the mountain is useful to me. There's also a magical herb." "Spiritual qi?" Shisheng looked at him strangely. "All I saw was yin qi. Where did the spiritual chi come from? It used to be spiritual chi, but it has changed now. That was why he had turned back and entered the village. He did not expect that the village had changed too. According to Tsinche, the last time he came here was about 4 months ago. At that time, the village and the mountain were very normal. In the past 4 months, the mountain and the village had changed, but he did not know what caused it. While Shang and Tsinche were talking, the woman had already boiled some water and brought it in. She did not want to watch them drink and left immediately after bringing it in. Shang poured the water out and looked at it. It was still the same. It was hot and emitted a foul smell. The woman quickly brought in the dishes with a simple smile. There's nothing good in the village. I hope you don't mind. Shang looked at the table full of black dishes and tightened his grip on Tsinche's hand. I want to draw my sword. Tsinche seemed to know what she wanted to do. He held her hand back. Thank you. Then you eat. I'll come and clear the dishes later. The woman was smart enough to leave the room. Shang knew that she did not go far. She was standing at the door. Tsinche put his index finger against Shang's lips, signaling her to be quiet. Shang bit his finger and swirled her tongue around it. It was cold, like a popsicle. Tsinche's expression changed slightly. He stared at her, but did not withdraw his hand. The soft tip of her tongue circled around his fingertip. It was very warm. He had never felt such warmth before. After a while, Shang let go of his hand. His fingers were wet. He said slowly, I didn't wash my hands. I just purified it with my spiritual energy. Do you think I'm stupid? Shang rolled her eyes. Tsinche sighed heavily in his heart. He felt helpless and indulgent at the same time. Shang did not dare to eat the food on the table. She took some fruits from her space for Tsinche and put the food on the table into her space. She would find an opportunity to throw them away. Tsinche did not eat the fruit. He just watched her. His fingertips were warm. He unconsciously withdrew his fingers. It was so warm. Why are you looking at me like that? Are you in love with me? Shang turned around and met Tsinche's gaze. She teased him. Chapter 1508. Tsinche looked away and stopped looking at her. She was much more obedient when she didn't speak. Should he gag her? Tsinche shook his head. She was so cold when she didn't speak. While Shang wasn't paying attention, Tsinche put the fruit aside. As soon as he put it down, there was a knock on the door. A woman came in to clean up the dishes. Seeing that there were only a few dishes left on the table, she looked around and didn't find anything unusual. Her eerie smile deepened. Mr. Tsin, miss, rest well. Don't run around at night. Shang propped up his chin and asked, why? The woman recited her lines skillfully. There are wild beasts on the mountain. They sometimes come to the village at night. You don't have to be afraid. Just don't go out. The woman gave a few more instructions and left with the things. I've been fooled. As soon as the woman left, Shang snorted. I'll go out and kill these things. Don't mess around. Tsinche stopped her. These villagers are probably under someone's control. Why? You want to save them? I didn't know you were such a warm-hearted person. How could her Feng Ci be a philanthropist? Tsinche suddenly wanted to strangle her. What was she talking about? How could she have a boyfriend like this? I want to see what's hiding behind them. Shang revealed an I knew it expression. Then let's just catch it. Why waste time with them? I'm very busy. Since you said there was spiritual energy on the mountain, it must be because something happened on the mountain that the village suffered. Let's go up the mountain and take a look. Shang dragged Tsinche outside, not giving him a chance to speak. She avoided the villagers and approached the mountain with heavy yin energy. The path up the mountain was very smooth. It seemed that people often used it. Shang followed the path and soon reached the mountainside. The further up the mountain they went, the heavier the Een energy. There was also a faint aura of resentment. The weeds at the mountainside were very thick. They couldn't see the path from here. It was as if everyone stopped here and didn't go any further. Sher Shang took out his iron sword and slashed forward. The sword's aura swept through the weeds and shattered an invisible barrier. A small courtyard appeared in front of Sher Shang. So, a bamboo pole flew out of the courtyard and headed straight for Sher Shang's face. Sher Shang easily cut the bamboo pole in half and swung his sword again. Stop! A loud shout came from the courtyard. However, Sher Shang wouldn't listen to him. He waved his sword at a faster speed. The sword chi swept across the ground and split into several streaks, rushing toward the yard aggressively. Boom! The courtyard was struck by the sword chi and was torn into pieces. It was impossible to tell that it was a courtyard before. A figure crawled out of the ruins in a sorry state. He was wearing a Taoist robe. He had a head full of white hair and shifty eyes. One look and one could tell that he was not a good person. Who are you people? Why did you disturb my peaceful cultivation? The Taoist priest was furious. Meditate. Sher Shang raised his eyebrows. Meditate in this damned place? What the hell are you meditating for? One look and I can tell he's not a good person. The Taoist priest narrowed his eyes. His already small eyes looked even smaller now. Little girl, it's not polite to judge a book by its cover. Is this how your parents taught you to greet others? He looked greedily at the iron sword in Sher Shang's hand. That sword seemed to be very powerful. However, the Taoist priest hadn't lost his mind yet. He remembered clearly what had just happened. This little girl wasn't a good person. Sher Shang smiled evilly. My parents taught me to greet people. If I don't like the look of someone, I'll kill him directly. The Taoist priest was speechless. Where did this evil girl come from? The Taoist priest looked behind Sher Shang. The boy hadn't said a word. The Taoist priest's attention had been attracted by Sher Shang and the iron sword from the beginning. Now that he saw who it was, he gasped in horror. You. Sun Che raised his head slightly and stared at the Taoist priest seriously. Seeing this, the Taoist priest was even more frightened. He trembled and stepped back. However, he couldn't move after 2 steps. Sun Che walked in front of the Taoist priest. His expression didn't change at all. He waved his pale finger in front of the Taoist priest. The fear in the Taoist priest's eyes seemed to be frozen. Then, Sun Che grabbed a black soul. The soul struggled and screamed, "Spare me, spare me. Since we're both sorcerers, please spare me." Why was he so unlucky to encounter such a thing? Sun Che grabbed the soul easily. It couldn't break free no matter how hard it struggled. Where's the thing? Thing? What thing? I don't know. The soul screamed. When did he take his thing? There's a spiritual herb on the mountain, Sun Che reminded the soul. Spiritual herb? The soul's voice was sharp. I've never seen any spiritual herb. I really haven't. When I came here, the village was already like this. I saw that this was a good place, so I stopped here and manipulated the villagers to lure passers-by. Sun Che seemed to be trying to determine if the soul was lying. Finally, he exerted a little force with his finger. The soul screamed and disappeared in the air. The Taoist priest's corpse rotted at a speed visible to the naked eye. All that was left was a pile of bones. Sun Che's finger was suddenly grabbed by someone. A soft tissue wiped his finger. He glanced sideways. The girl beside him lowered her head and wiped his finger seriously. He asked, "Aren't you afraid?" The girl didn't pause at all. Afraid of what? Afraid of what? Afraid of him like this, like a monster. I've been dead for a long time. Sun Che looked at her wiping his finger and said softly, "Even like this, you're not afraid?" Dead for a long time? Sher Shang looked up. His expression was a little strange. What do you mean by dead for a long time? Sun Che retracted his hand without a trace. It means what it means. He was a dead man. He was a monster. Shi Sheng frowned. You have the aura of a living person. A strange smile appeared on Sun Che's face. The aura of a living person suddenly disappeared, leaving only endless coldness. It was as if a hot summer had suddenly turned into a snowy winter. Shi Sheng couldn't feel the Reiki in his body at first, but now she could feel the rich Reiki wrapped around him and constantly nourishing his body. Are you afraid? Sun Che took a step forward. He was only a palm's width away from Shi Sheng. He lowered his eyes and looked at her as if she said she was afraid, he would really kill her and throw her body in the wilderness. He would then go to hell with the Taoist priest. Shi Sheng reached out and hugged him. She leaned her face against his chest. No matter what you look like, I like it. Sun Che's body stiffened. After a moment, he laughed softly. He reached out and hugged her tightly as if he wanted to rub her into his bones and blood. I gave you a chance. You won't have a chance to regret it in the future. Chapter 1509. Sun Che died in an accident when he was 15 years old. But his parents were unwilling to give up. They got to know someone and used a strange method to trap his soul in his body. His body was already dead, so they had to nourish it with spiritual energy to prevent it from rotting. At first, he refused. He was a dead person, and it was very painful to live in such a way. But he couldn't die and leave his body. Even if his body was damaged, it would recover quickly under the nourishment of spiritual energy. He didn't have any other symptoms except for his pale face. He avoided contact with people so that they wouldn't think he was dead. Gradually, he got used to it. He lived like a living dead. Sometimes, he couldn't control his body. After all, he was trapped in this body and didn't use this body to come back to life. Later, he learned how to cultivate on his own, and the situation gradually improved. As more and more people came into contact with him, some people noticed his abnormality and tried to subdue him. At first, he didn't resist. He wanted to be free. He didn't want to live like this. But later, he found that no matter what people did, they could only hurt his body. Once someone attacked him, there would be a protective circle in his body that protected his soul. Although his body would recover, it would be very uncomfortable. Sometimes, he couldn't move and just lay there like a corpse. So he learned to fight back. If someone attacked him, he wouldn't show any mercy. Look, don't I look like a monster? Sun Che said in a low voice. I don't mind. Even if you are a monster, you can only be mine. Sun Che rubbed her head and took the initiative to kiss her forehead. Shi Sheng wanted to take the opportunity to kiss him, but Sun Che moved away. No. Shi Sheng pouted. Just for a moment. No. She was alive, and he was dead. If they did anything more intimate, she would be hurt. Shi Sheng tugged at his sleeve. Just for a moment. Don't go in. It'll be fine. Sun Che found that he always felt helpless when it came to her. He suppressed the restless power in his body. Just for a moment. Don't go in. Shi Sheng nodded with smiling eyes. She hugged his neck and leaned against him. She raised her head and kissed him on the lips. Her lips were hot and soft. It was a feeling he had never experienced before. He really wanted to. Sun Che stopped the thought and quickly distanced himself from her. Do you want to be resurrected? Shi Sheng tilted his head and looked at him. I'm already dead. How can I be revived? Sun Che couldn't help but laugh. His pale face suddenly became lively. When you're with me, other than not being able to do anything more intimate, everything else is fine. Do you mind? I can revive you. Sun Che was stunned and looked at her. What is the price? How about half of my lifespan? It's like I'm giving you half of it. The price of resurrection was either a life for a life, or a portion of one's lifespan. Forget it. Sun Che shook his head. Shi Sheng leaned close to Sun Che's ear and whispered a few words. Sun Che's eyes suddenly became a little awkward. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't blush, his face would have turned completely red by now. If you don't revive, you'll continue living like this. I'm just an ordinary person. I'll die. Do you want to see me die in the end? I don't mind how long I can live, but I want to die with you. Sun Che didn't have a heartbeat, but at this moment, he felt as if he had a heartbeat. I'll think about it. Shi Shang didn't force him. He nodded in agreement and asked him to think about it. Then he changed the topic. What kind of spiritual herb are you looking for? Sun Che took the opportunity to answer, I don't know, but it contains a lot of spiritual energy. It's very helpful to me. I've been waiting for it to grow. You need something with a lot of spiritual energy? Sun Che bit his lower lip. My body needs a lot of spiritual energy to nourish. Shi Shang took out a few things from his space and stuffed them into his hands. You don't have to go through so much trouble in the future. I have a lot. It's enough to feed you. Shi Shang gave him some ancient jade and some strange herbs. But all of them contained a lot of spiritual energy. He felt much better when he touched them. Sun Che took them instinctively and didn't refuse. He didn't know why he could take them so easily. Shi Shang and Sun Che went down the mountain. She ignored his objections and walked beside him while holding his hand. Your body should be using some kind of puppet technique. In order to give a puppet a soul, a puppet master will capture a soul and inject it into the puppet. Your body has been specially treated to protect you and keep you from decay. It can also recover automatically. The person who helped you is very powerful, but I have to check it when I go back. If the other party did something to his body, it would be very easy for them to control him. She wouldn't allow that to happen. Okay. Sun Che didn't refute. He looked down the mountain. The village hasn't changed. It was still as eerie as before. The Taoist priest said that he had been like this when he came. He only used the villagers to capture passers-by for him. It was very likely that he was lying. There was someone behind him. Shi Shang looked over with an indifferent expression. So be it. It's none of your business. Let's go back to the city. Shi Shang and Sun Che planned to go back to the city. But before they left the village, it started to rain heavily. The bean-sized raindrops hit them painfully. It was almost impossible to drive back in such a heavy rain. The two of them had no choice but to go back to the village. The villagers in the village also didn't change much. Some of them ran back to their houses, while others stood at the door and looked at the gray sky. They still had that strange expression on their faces. When they went back to the woman's house, they saw a few unexpected people. The fake Ji Tong, 3 men, and 2 women were sitting in the central room. They were all wet. The woman was busy next to them. These people seemed to have braved the rain to come in. Among the 3 men and 2 women, Shi Shang only recognized Ji Man. Mr. Tsin, you're back. Where did you get the umbrella? The woman noticed Shi Shang and Sun Che and immediately greeted them. Although she was curious about their umbrella, she didn't ask much. It's raining so suddenly. Come in quickly. The woman's voice wasn't soft. The 6 people in the house heard her and looked outside. Xiao Tong. Ji Man's reaction was the biggest. She stood up immediately. Why are you here too? Senior Tsin is here too. Her gaze moved down to Shi Shang and Sun Che's hands. She immediately winked at Shi Shang. Shi Shang waved at her. Ji Man said something to the man beside her and then ran to Shi Shang. Shi Shang glanced at the fake Ji Tong. The fake Ji Tong was also looking at her. There was a complicated look in his eyes. He bit his lip and didn't say anything. The others weren't very familiar with Shi Shang. They only looked over when Ji Man greeted them. They looked at her and Sun Che curiously. Some of them probably recognized Sun Che and started to whisper to each other. Shi Shang glanced at Ji Man. Let's go in first. Ji Man looked behind her. She probably trusted Shi Shang more. But when she looked at the man from before, his attention was on the other girl. She bit her lip and followed Shi Shang into their house. Chapter 15:10. Xiao Tong, why are you here? Ji-man's clothes were still wet and she looked quite disheveled. Shi Shang took a towel from the shelf and passed it to her. I should be the one asking you this. Why are you here? Ah, that. Ji-man pinched the towel, her expression showing a rare hint of shyness of a little girl. Shi Shang understood with one look that Ji-man had taken a liking to that guy outside. Too bad he didn't like her. The guy was called Zhong Jian, a senior in the 4th year. Ji-man met him by chance and fell in love with him at first sight. Unfortunately, the senior already liked someone, but the girl liked someone else. Therefore, it was a cliché story of, you like me, I like him, and he likes you. Why are you here? Something was definitely going to happen if they were together with the female lead. I don't know. I heard that the senior was coming, so I came. The girl that the senior liked did not like her. Of course, she had to try her best. Even if they could not be together in the end, she would not regret it in the future. Ji-man rubbed her arms. But this village is really strange. I feel uncomfortable when I enter the village. She glanced at Shi Shang and asked nervously, Xiao Tong, is this village haunted? Yes. Ah? Ji-man was surprised. Was it really haunted? It was raining so heavily that it was impossible to leave. Moreover, the village was haunted. Ji-man was a little nervous at first, but she calmed down when she remembered that Shi Shang was here. Ji-man wanted to call Zhong Jian over, but he was not willing and insisted on accompanying the girl. Ji-man was angry and anxious. She could not call everyone over. She knew Shi Shang's temperament. It would be good if she could bring even one person. Xiao Tong, will I be okay if I stay outside? Just wear the bracelet properly. After getting Shi Shang's assurance, Ji-man finally went over there. She couldn't just watch something happen to the person she liked. The rain outside was getting heavier and heavier. The sky gradually darkened. The sky was so dark that not a single ray of light could be seen. Only the sound of raindrops hitting the tiles and the surrounding trees could be heard. Ji-man, aren't you going to eat? A guy pointed at the food on the table. Didn't you say that you were hungry before? Why are you acting so reserved now? Come and eat. Ji-man opened her mouth and finally said, I don't want to eat. You guys can eat. She had already advised Zhong Jian just now, but his heart was filled with the person he liked. He didn't listen to anything she said. The fake Ji Tong originally wanted to eat, but seeing Ji-man's expression, she subconsciously put down her bowl and chopsticks. Ji-man paced back and forth by the door. She didn't notice the abnormality of the fake Ji Tong. She raised her head and looked at the opposite room. There was light in the opposite room, but she couldn't see what was going on inside. The rain is so heavy. It sounds scary. Fortunately, there is a village. Otherwise, we would have to spend the night in the rain. Just like that, there were no signs at all. This is the weather in the mountains. Moreover, it's summer now. Thunderstorms are normal. After eating and sleeping, it should stop tomorrow. The people behind them discussed while eating. Ji-man and the fake Ji Tong had their own thoughts, so they didn't participate. They had walked for a long time on the mountain road, and the sudden rain had made them run around for a long time. They had used up a lot of energy. After eating and drinking to their fill, they went to their rooms to rest. Because there were no extra rooms, all 6 of them stayed in one room. The girls slept on the bed, and the boys slept on the floor. The woman also reminded them. When they heard that there would be wild animals, they were a little scared. However, thinking that there were so many people in the village, as long as they didn't go out, they should be fine. Everyone calmed down. The night gradually darkened, and the rain stopped unknowingly. There was only silence left outside. The lights in the room were turned off. Ji-man felt someone pushing her. She opened her eyes and saw her love rival looking at her with a delicate and shy face. Xiaoman, can you accompany me to the toilet? Ji-man and this girl didn't know each other before this. Moreover, she didn't like the senior. Although they were love rivals, it was only one-sided. She turned over and got out of bed. She reached out to turn on the light, but the light didn't turn on. G-Man's heart skipped a beat. She unconsciously wrapped her arms and called to the ground, "Senior? Senior Zhong?" No one in the room responded to her. She couldn't even hear their breathing. What happened? Her love rival grabbed G-Man's arm in fear. G-Man took out her phone and shone the flashlight on the ground. The things were still there, but the people were gone. What happened? The fake G-Tong also woke up and got out of bed. Her love rival said nervously, "The senior and the others are gone." The fake G-Tong quickly took out her phone and shone it on the ground. There was no one else in the room except the three of them. Where did the senior and the others go? Why didn't they call us when they left? Xiaoman, they didn't scare us on purpose, right? G-Man's face darkened. She felt that the temperature around her had dropped a lot. It was so cold that she shivered. She quickly got out of bed. "Xiaoman, where are you going?" Her love rival saw her get out of bed and followed her. The fake G-Tong hesitated for a moment, but still followed her. She didn't feel anything other than a little cold. There were no Yin spirits here. But where did the three boys go? G-Man tried to open the door, but the door seemed to be locked. She couldn't open it. "Is there anyone? Open the door." G-Man knocked on the door hard. It was silent outside. Nothing could be heard. G-Man shouted for a long time, but no one responded. She felt more and more uneasy. "Ah!" Her love rival suddenly screamed. Then there was a series of screams in the room. When everyone heard the familiar voices, they stopped and took out their phones to shine on each other. The three boys who weren't in the room just now suddenly appeared. Her love rival was so scared that tears fell down her face. She trembled and asked, Are you people or ghosts?" "Of course we're people." "Why are you screaming in the middle of the night?" A boy complained. "Why don't you turn on the lights?" As he spoke, the boy got up to turn on the lights. The dim yellow light instantly dispelled the darkness and brought a sense of security to everyone. The three girls looked at each other. They clearly saw that the three people weren't in the room just now. Why did they appear now? "What's with that look? Why are you looking at us like that?" The boy who turned on the lights saw the three girls standing in a group by the door and looking at him with strange eyes. He was puzzled. "Zhong Rong, you weren't in the room just now, were you?" The fake Ji-Tong had dealt with ghosts before, so she was a little braver. "I'm not in the room. Where am I?" Zhong Rong's face was strange. "I was sleeping soundly when I suddenly heard you scream." The other two boys stood up. "We also heard you scream." "What's wrong with you? It's the middle of the night. Why are you screaming? It's very scary." "That's not right. When we woke up, you weren't in the room." G-Man frowned. Chapter 15:11. The boys said that they were sleeping the whole time and did not leave the room, but the girls said that they did not see them when they woke up. They checked what they were familiar with. After confirming that no one was swapped, the six of them heaved a sigh of relief. "What did you scream just now?" The fake Ji-Tong asked her love rival. "Someone took a picture of me, then I saw a figure get up." The love rival had not recovered from her fear and was trembling as she spoke. The six of them looked at each other again. The three boys were a little far away from them just now, so it was definitely not them. Moreover, they only woke up after hearing the screams. So, there was a seventh person in this room? Everyone looked around. The room was very simple and there was no hiding place at all. How could there be a seventh person? Could it be haunted? Their faces instantly turned pale. Someone retorted, "Impossible, how could it be haunted? There was no sound at all outside. We shouted so loudly just now, how could the villagers not hear us?" And G-Man's friend in the next room, there was no movement either. With that said, everyone was even more afraid and leaned closer. "Xiao Tong, don't you have research in this area? Is this place haunted?" Zhang Rong's gaze fell on the fake Ji-Tong. He had a good relationship with the fake Ji Tong and knew that she had the ability in this area. The fake Ji Tong looked around. There is Yin Chi here, but there are no Yin spirits. Everyone fell into a strange silence. After a while, the love rival retorted, Ji Tong, don't talk nonsense. There are no ghosts in this world. This was the age of science. How could there be superstitions? Whether you believe it or not, this is all I can tell you. The fake Ji Tong did not get along with the girl, so she did not explain much. Humph, I think you can't explain it, right? What are you up to? You're still scaring us at this time. The love rival was furious. G-Man saw that they were about to quarrel and interrupted them. What's the use of quarreling now? No matter if it's a human or a ghost, we're trapped in the room now. Let's see if we can open the door together. She only wanted to go to the Shishang area now. It was not safe here. Even with the bracelet on her hand, she felt that the surroundings were gloomy. The three boys went forward to open the door and confirmed that the door was locked. There was only one exit in the room, and the rest of the room was sealed. Just as they were discussing how to open the door, the lights suddenly went out, and the room was plunged into darkness again. Ah! Shishang looked at the thick fog outside. The fog had appeared after the heavy rain. The sound of the village had disappeared with the fog. When the thick fog appeared, the village was no longer gloomy. Instead, it was filled with resentment. Ah! A scream came from the fog. The sound came from afar, and it seemed to be very far away from her. Shishang's eyes fell on the opposite room, but he didn't do anything. Sun Che was sitting cross-legged on the bed in the back, surrounded by waves of spiritual qi, which kept seeping into his body. After an unknown period of time, the fog became thicker and thicker. Bam, bam, bam. Something was pounding on the door, making a loud noise. What followed was a familiar voice. Shoutong, Shoutong, are you there? G-Man seemed to be scared out of her wits. She kept knocking on the door, and her voice was full of panic. Shishang got up to open the door. The moment she opened the door, the fog outside the door tried to rush in, but when it came into contact with her, it seemed to have encountered something terrifying. It retreated, revealing the person who was wrapped in the fog. G-Man stopped breathing when the fog retreated. She was kneeling on the ground, and her body was covered in blood. She looked very scary. Shishang lifted her wrist to take a look. There were many red marks on her wrist, as if she had been strangled during a robbery. Shishang was sure that she was still a human, so she dragged her in from the outside. The fog outside kept surging. She wanted to take the opportunity to come in, but she was afraid. In the end, she could only watch the door being closed. G-Man only had some external injuries, but other than that, she was fine. The thing outside probably wanted to use her to lure her out. The smell of blood was too strong. Sun Che had stopped absorbing spiritual qi. He sat on the bed and watched Shishang put G-Man on the table beside him. He had no intention of giving up his position. Shishang pulled up her sleeves to help G-Man clean the wounds on her body. She took off G-Man's clothes and told Sun Che, "Close your eyes." "Okay." Sun Che closed his eyes and continued to absorb spiritual qi. There were many wounds on G-Man's body, as if she had been scratched by a beast. The wounds were mainly on her abdomen and back. Shishang didn't know what to say. The villagers said that there would be a beast coming down the mountain at night. It was really a beast. What an honest villager. Shishang cleaned the wounds and washed the blood off her hands. Then she went to see Sun Che. Sun Che had stopped absorbing spiritual qi. She didn't know when he opened his eyes, but he was looking at G-Man coldly. "You like her?" Sun Che returned the jade pendant that had become an ordinary object because it had lost its spiritual qi. There was a hint of displeasure in his tone. "I don't like her." Shishang took the jade pendant. She used a little force and the jade pendant immediately turned into powder. "The only person I like is you from now on." She just found G-Man pleasing to the eye. Then throw her out. The man just now was going to bring the fog in. Shishang looked at him. He didn't seem to be joking. He got up and carried G-Man out. He put a few talismans on her body to ensure that she wouldn't be eaten by the things outside. Sun Che pursed his lips. Looking at her movements, he finally let her bring her in. He couldn't be petty with a woman. He continued to absorb spiritual qi. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Ji-man woke up about 2 hours later. Maybe she had experienced something terrible. There was still fear in her eyes. She couldn't feel her legs at all. Were her legs eaten? She turned her head with difficulty, thinking that she had been caught. But when she turned her head, she saw Shi Shang sitting beside her, holding his chin and reading an old book. She felt relieved when she saw a familiar face. She was lying on a table. Her legs were hanging off the table. It would be strange if she could feel anything. Ji-man got up from the table, but she didn't have any strength. Her legs were numb, so she fell off the table. Shi Shang looked up at her. Seeing that Sun Che didn't react, he got up and helped her up. "Thank you, Xiao Tong." Ji-man's face was pale. "Where's your bracelet?" She probably didn't take off the bracelet. The wound on her wrist was too obvious. If she took off the bracelet, she wouldn't have brought her in. She didn't need to waste time to save someone who didn't cherish her own life. Ji-man's face was even paler. There was anger in her eyes. Huang Yuan took it away. #hashtag today, I want to buy a ticket for Taitang flavor ##monthly ticket, monthly ticket, monthly ticket. Chapter 15:12. Huang Yuan was her rival in love. After the second blackout, there were more things in the room. For example, someone was touching their calves, arms, and breathing on their necks. In fear, they worked together to open the door. The fog outside was very thick, but no one wanted to stay in the room, so they went into the fog. Ji-man wanted to find the Shi Shang, but it was in the opposite room. They walked for a long time and didn't find it. The people in the village also disappeared. Instead, there were more and more strange noises around them. In Ji-man's words, it was the sound of some kind of beast grinding its teeth. There were things in the fog staring at them and treating them as food. The first person who was in trouble was a boy. He was walking on the edge and was suddenly dragged away by something. They couldn't pull him back even if they worked together. They could only hear the continuous screams in the fog. They were very scared and didn't dare to go back to find the boy. They could only keep walking forward. Not long after, they were attacked by things. The things attacking them were very fast. They couldn't see what they were. When they got rid of those things, there were only 4 people left. The fake Ji Tong found a house and asked them to hide in it. Those things surrounded the house and kept making noises. The old house couldn't withstand the attacks of those things for long. In the end, they still came in. Ji-man had the bracelet. Those things were a little scared and wouldn't attack her. The fake Ji Tong had some skills, so he was fine for the time being. In the end, only Huang Yuan and Zhong Jiran were left. These 2 ordinary people naturally became the main targets. Huang Yuan somehow found out that the bracelet on Ji-man's hand could save her life. She told Zhong Jiran and the 2 of them took the bracelet together. The bracelet could only block non-human attacks, but not human attacks. Moreover, there were 2 of them. Ji-man was naturally no match for them. She could only watch the bracelet being taken away. The fake Ji Tong watched the whole time. He didn't help or stop them. Without the bracelet, those things naturally wouldn't be merciful. Ji-man didn't remember how she got here. She saw the Shi Shang when she woke up. I didn't expect that I would fall in love with such a person. Ji-man smiled bitterly. She used to say that she had seen countless people, but she didn't expect that she would fall in the hands of a man. If Huang Yuan was alone, she wouldn't be able to take it away. But Zhong Jiran helped her. In order to let the person he liked live, he had to exchange her life for it. Sure enough, love was harmful. Who hasn't met a few scumbags? She patted Ji-man's shoulder. They will definitely die faster than you. Ji-man looked at Shi Shang in astonishment. Because of her anger, her eyes were bloodshot, which was quite scary. Shang just smiled and turned around to continue flipping through the old book. The handwriting on the book was very young. It should have been written by a child. However, when he entered the village today, he didn't see any children. There were only old people and middle-aged people. G-Man struggled to move to the side of the Shang. Xiaotong, what did you mean just now? The bracelet protects its owner. She is not its owner. Why would it protect her? Shang answered without looking up. With Yen Gur as an example, she would not be so stupid. G-Man's face suddenly paled, but in the blink of an eye, she became firm again. They were the ones who snatched her things first. She almost died. If something happened to them, they deserved it. After thinking it through, G-Man calmed down. Xiaotong, what are you looking at? Diary. Diary. Shang handed the diary to her. The village has become like this. It's all written in this diary. She shrugged. You can take a look, but I don't know if it's true or not. About 3 months ago, a group of monkeys came to the village. At first, the monkeys were only active in the mountains and didn't have any conflicts with the villagers. However, gradually, the monkeys began to appear in the village. At first, the monkeys were a little afraid of strangers and ran away when they saw people. However, the children in the village were not afraid. They played very well with the monkeys. They brought the monkeys home behind the adults' backs and gave them food. After the monkeys realized this, they began to circle around the children. The children certainly didn't have much food. How could it be enough for a group of monkeys? When the monkeys couldn't get food, they directly robbed the children in the house. The children were frightened and didn't dare to play with the monkeys anymore. When the monkeys realized that no one gave them food, they began to go crazy and attacked the children. 2 children died on the spot. When the villagers heard the news, the 2 children didn't even have bones left. The child who wrote this diary was also frightened. After this incident, he didn't write anymore. No one knew what happened after that, but this child was definitely dead. After all, she didn't see any children or children's belongings in the village. These monkeys are too abominable. G-Man was so angry that she grimaced. The children kindly gave them food. Not only were they not grateful, they even robbed. They are really the scum of the animal world. Speaking of which, the things that attacked us did look a little like monkeys. G-Man seemed to be trying hard to recall. But their claws were too sharp. They didn't look like normal monkeys at all. Could it be that they were mutated? How could they be normal monkeys if they could cause so much trouble? Shang closed the diary. If she didn't guess wrong, among those monkeys, one of them must have eaten the stalk of spiritual grass that Sun Che mentioned. And this village, probably because of that stalk of spiritual grass, had concealed some things. Xiaotong, what should we do now? Those monkeys wanted to eat them. They definitely wouldn't let them go so easily. Just wait. Someone will come and take care of them. The female lead was here. The male lead would probably come to save the damsel in distress soon. G-Man didn't know how to react to Shang's calm behavior for a moment, but she believed in her. The fog outside was still there. Even when the morning of the second day arrived, the fog still hadn't disappeared. It was still dark outside, shrouded in darkness. G-Man's body was weak. After she let go of her psychological defense, she kept sleeping. Sun Che sat on the bed and occasionally glanced at Shang. Most of the time, he was in a daze. No one knew what he was thinking. Knock knock. There was a hurried knock on the door. Ji-Tong, I know you're inside. Open the door. The male lead's voice sounded from outside the door, accompanied by a loud knock. Shang slowly walked to the door and opened it. The fake Ji-Tong was supported by Xie Wangqi. Huang Yuan and Zhong Jiran were supporting each other. They stood at the side. Both of them looked miserable. It was obvious that they had suffered a lot. Shang's lips curved slightly. What's the matter? Go in first. Xie Wangqi's face darkened. Shang didn't move aside. The mockery on her face became more and more obvious. Who are you? Why should I let you in? Xie Wangqi. We're all from the same school. How can you be so selfish in this situation? The things behind us are coming. Let us in quickly. Huang Yuan looked weak, but her voice was very strong. Chapter 15:13. So what if we're from the same school? Husband and wife are birds of the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly away in different directions. Husband and wife are all like this, let alone the fact that we're from the same school. Most importantly, I don't even know you. Shi Shang shrugged innocently with a helpless expression on her face. You. Miss Ji, you have the same name as Ji Tong. It's fate that brought us together. If we can help you, we'll do our best to help. If you're in any trouble in the future, we'll definitely help you. Zhong Jiaran tried his best to control his voice, but it was still trembling. Shi Shang looked at the person supported by Xie Wangqi. She looked groggy and was barely conscious. Perhaps Shi Shang's gaze was too cold, but the fake Ji Tong suddenly woke up. She looked around in confusion, but when she followed the light and saw Shi Shang, her expression froze. Shi Shang smiled slowly. I don't think it's fate that someone has taken over my name and identity. What? Other than the fake Ji Tong, everyone else looked confused. Chirp chirp chirp. They're catching up. Huang Yuan's expression changed. She didn't have time to think about what Shi Shang meant. Let us in, quick. Miss Ji, what's the matter? Can we talk inside? Zhong Jiaran might be an ordinary person, but he knew that the room was the safest place. Huang Yuan walked straight into the room. Shi Shang didn't stop her. He just looked at her coldly. Huang Yuan was a little nervous under his gaze, but when she thought about how there were so many people around, what was there to be afraid of? Huang Yuan sped up. Just as she was about to step into the room, a strange force sent her flying and she fell into the thick fog. Chirp 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 chirp. The monkey's excited squeals approached. Huang Yuan scrambled out of the fog. At the same time, a group of black figures appeared and disappeared in the fog. They jumped around as if they were performing acrobatics. In the blink of an eye, they were already closing in on them. Huang Yuan didn't even have the chance to curse Shi Shang. She curled up in Zhong Jiaran's arms and trembled. Xie Wangqi helped the fake Ji Tong back to the door. Ji Tong, it's fine if you don't let us in, but let these two girls in, he said. Huang Yuan's eyes lit up when she heard this, but Zhong Jiaran's expression turned ugly. Shi Shang snorted coldly and said, I won't. I must be crazy to let the female lead in. Xie Wangqi. Taking a deep breath, Xie Wangqi asked, what will it take for you to let them in? Shi Shang said with a straight face, a corpse. Xie Wangqi. If it weren't for the fact that they were facing a powerful enemy, he would have killed her first. If he wanted corpses, didn't he want them to die? He had seen many cold-blooded men, but he had never seen such a cold-blooded woman. G. The monkeys surrounded them in a semicircle. When Huang Yuan saw the black shadows, she screamed in fear. The louder she screamed, the more excited the monkeys became. Let me in, I'll do anything you want, please let me in, I don't want to be outside, I don't want to be eaten by them. Please let me in, I beg you. No matter what Huang Yuan said, Shi Shang remained indifferent. She crossed her arms and leaned against the door, her gaze calm as she looked at Monkey, who was faintly discernible by the fog. You bitch, you'll die a horrible death. If something happens to me, you won't have a good ending. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Huang Yuan started to curse when she didn't get any response from him. Shi Shang stopped looking at Huang Yuan's ferocious face and smiled. His voice was light but full of malice. Don't worry, if you're eaten by them, you won't have the chance to become a ghost. Xiaoman, let me in. Zhong Jiaran suddenly saw Ji-man in the room, as if he saw a life-saving straw. Xiaoman, as long as you let me in, I'll be with you. Zhong Jiaran knew that she liked him, so he asked her now. She wouldn't refuse the request of the person she liked. Shi Shang turned around to take a look. Ji-man had woken up at some point and was looking at them. Hearing Zhong Jiaron's words, Ji-man's face became even worse. She looked away and didn't look at them. When Huang Yuan saw Ji-man, she suddenly became angry. Why did you let her in and not let us in? Ji-man abandoned us and let us be the bait for the monkeys. You let such a vicious woman in, why can't you let us in? Shi Shang. This version was different from what he heard. Life was full of drama. Ji-man was suddenly bitten back. She ignored the injuries on her body and walked from the room to the door. She tried to stand up straight. Huang Yuan, you snatched my things first. How dare you say that I used you as bait? Besides, who Xiao Tong wants to let in and who she doesn't want to? Is it your turn to tell her what to do? How can it not be you? You pretended that the bracelet was very useful and let us snatch it. In the end, the bracelet was useless and you took the opportunity to run away. If you're not using us as bait, what are you? Huang Yuan also straightened her neck and shouted. She didn't think that she was wrong to snatch other people's things. Instead, she pushed all the blame to others. Ji-man had probably never seen such a shameless person. Her tone was full of anger. Huang Yuan, don't twist the truth. You snatched it first. I'm twisting the truth? So many people can testify. Zhong Jiaron, tell me, is the truth what I said? Zhong Jiaron looked at Ji-man and then looked at Huang Yuan. In the end, he nodded in the midst of the monkeys' excited cries. Ji-man's body swayed. Shi Shang quickly reached out to support her. Xin Che suddenly came up from behind and put a chair behind Ji-man. He took the opportunity to pull Shi Shang's hand away. Ji-man fell onto the chair. The chair made a creaking sound. Ji-man's expression changed from anger to a cold smile. What kind of plaything did she like? After Xin Che moved Ji-man away, he wanted to pull his hand back. However, Shi Shang grabbed his hand and interlocked their fingers. Xin Che pursed his lips. He stood beside her and looked at the thing in the thick fog. When Xin Che appeared, Xie Wangqi showed a strange expression. Mr. Xin, why are you here? Of course, Xie Wangqi knew about Xin Che's special existence. Do I need to report my schedule to you? Xin Che's voice was cold. Xie Wangqi. Because of Xin Che's uniqueness, at first, they wanted to control him. This kind of existence shouldn't exist. If something big happened, it would be difficult to deal with it. However, after fighting with him a few times, their people couldn't do anything to him. When they found that he didn't take the initiative to provoke people, everyone knew about his existence but never mentioned it. They would only occasionally send people to check on him to make sure he didn't do anything outrageous. Chapter 15-14. G. As they talked, the monkeys didn't attack them. They just jumped around excitedly as if they were watching a good show. Xie Wangqi looked at the depths of the fog seriously. Something was coming. Mr. Tsen, since we're familiar with each other and we've given you a lot of convenience, can't you ask Miss Ji to let us in? Xin Che rubbed his finger on the back of Shi Shang's hand. I have no right to make decisions about her. Xie Wangqi frowned. Although Xin Che didn't take the initiative to provoke others, he was definitely not someone who would listen to others. He could even be said to be a little overbearing. How could such a person say such words? It was unbelievable. The scene was a little strange. Huang Yuan and Zhong Jiaron didn't dare to make a sound. The man's aura was too scary. Most importantly, his face didn't look like a living person at all. After Shi Shang said those words, the fake Ji Tong leaned on Xie Wangqi and pretended to be weak. He didn't make a sound either. G. The monkeys' cries changed. They were still excited, but there was a hint of fear. They slowed down and split into two sides, like human guards. Even ordinary people could sense that something very strong was coming. For a moment, no one spoke. They held their breath and looked at the fog. The fog rolled and the huge shadow gradually approached. Its size was at least 2 adult men's heads stacked on top of each other. Its banner area was also very large. It was so big, but it didn't make any sound. It was as if it wasn't walking, but floating. As it got closer, the resentment in the air became heavier. Huang Yuan and Zhong Jiaran hugged each other in fear. Although the fake Ji Tong was still calm, he was also a little scared and shrank into Xie Wangqi's arms. Perhaps Ji Man stayed in the room and gave her a sense of security. She looked at the shadow calmly. The shadow finally stopped 5 meters away from them. The monkeys cried out loudly, as if they were welcoming their king. They were excited and respectful. The shadow waved its hand and the cries disappeared. The monkeys quietly squatted around. The fog gradually disappeared as the shadow waved its hand, revealing its body. It was a very big monkey. Its whole body was black and its huge red eyes were staring at them. The resentment was emitted from this big monkey. The big monkey didn't attack immediately. It turned its head and looked at them. The scene was a little strange. Xie Wangqi was the first to ask, "Why are you attacking humans? Why did you turn the village into this?" The big monkey swung its tail, and the fog suddenly surged towards Xie Wangqi. Xie Wangqi was shocked. He hugged the fake Ji Tong and quickly dodged to the side. When he moved, the quiet little monkeys also pounced on him. G. Not only were Xie Wangqi and the fake Ji Tong attacked, Huang Yuan and Zhong Jiaran were no exception. The two of them were ordinary people and did not have Xie Wangqi's ability. In the blink of an eye, they were surrounded by the monkeys. "Help, help!" Huang Yuan's screams made the monkeys very excited. They played with her like a pet, constantly creating wounds on her body. "Save me, save me!" Xie Wangqi's path was blocked by the little monkey, so he couldn't save them. The attacking power of these monkeys was much stronger than he had imagined. Ah! A blood-curdling scream tore through the sky. Xie Wangqi looked over and saw Zhong Jiaran being surrounded by the little monkeys. They were nibbling on him while Huang Yuan screamed and ran away. Xie Wangqi didn't see the whole process, but Shi Shang and the others saw it. When the little monkeys had played enough and were about to eat her, Huang Yuan pushed Zhong Jiaran, and then the scene just now happened. Ji-Man didn't know if it was because she was disgusted by the scene of the little monkeys eating Zhong Jiaran or because of other reasons, but her face was as pale as Tsun Chei's. Xie Wangqi was also in a very difficult situation. He was almost unable to hold on. Roar! The big monkey beat its chest without warning and roared in a direction. Before Shi Shang could see what happened, the fake Ji Tong suddenly rushed out of the thick fog. The sharp object in his hand was shining with cold light, and he stabbed it into the big monkey's thigh. The light suddenly appeared and enveloped the big monkey and the fake Ji Tong. The light kept spreading, and the thick fog was forced back by the light. It was as if someone had torn a gap in the sky, and the light poured in through the gap, constantly swallowing the darkness. The whole world became bright. When the sky was completely bright, the light with the big monkey as the center gradually dimmed. The big monkey had disappeared, and only a little bigger than an ordinary monkey was left. The fake Ji Tong stood beside it and was about to fall. When she fell, Xie Wangqi rushed out and caught her. The big monkey lay on the ground and roared at the fake Ji Tong unwillingly. Xie Wangqi settled the fake Ji Tong down and then walked to the big monkey. "Why did you attack the humans?" The big monkey's claws kept scratching the ground, making ear-piercing sounds. It glared at Xie Wangqi with hatred and said, "They deserve to die. You all deserve to die. All humans deserve to die." Xie Wangqi was slightly surprised. He thought that this monkey was just a little smarter than other monkeys, but he didn't expect it to be able to speak. He didn't know what the fake Ji Tong's attack was, and the big monkey didn't have any resistance at this time. It could only tell the truth under Xie Wangqi's interrogation. According to what Big Monkey said, Shi Shang's diary wasn't entirely accurate. The children did play well with them at first and gave them food. But while they were eating, the children took advantage of the opportunity to capture them. Other monkeys came to save them, and out of anger, they took the other food in the house. When the villagers learned of this, not only did they not punish the children, but they also thought that it was because of the monkeys' appearance in the village that caused this, so they hunted them down. At that time, the mountain was full of monkeys, and the villagers could easily catch them. They heard that monkey brains were very nutritious, so they killed the monkeys and took out their brains to eat. The monkeys' cries echoed in the mountain forest. But the villagers didn't stop. Instead, they went even further. In order to protect themselves, they killed 2 children who were alone and tried to scare the villagers, who knew that the villagers were even angrier and threatened to kill all the monkeys on the mountain to avenge their children. The battle between the villagers and the monkeys broke out. Children were the weakest. The monkeys couldn't do anything to the adults, so they could only vent their anger on the children. When all the children in the village were dead, the villagers seemed to have gone crazy. They thought of a way to catch them all in one fell swoop. The monkeys finally found out about the villagers' conspiracy, but only a few escaped. Most of the monkeys died. The big monkey ate the spirit herb that Sun Che mentioned before. After it died, it didn't disappear. Instead, it became like this. It hated the villagers, so it began to take revenge on them. The Taoist priest on the mountain was found by the villagers, but he wasn't a good person. He didn't take the villagers' request seriously at all. He just wanted to get the power of the big monkey. Instead of helping the villagers, he helped the big monkey grow. Chapter 15:15. With the Taoist priest's help, the big monkey grew stronger and stronger until it killed everyone in the village. It used the villagers to commit murder while the Taoist priest captured their souls. Where is the Taoist priest? Xie Wangqi didn't know who the Taoist priest was. The big monkey looked at the door with no hatred. Instead, it looked relieved. They killed him. After taking revenge on the villagers, the big monkey didn't want to commit murder anymore. However, the Taoist priest had the power to control it. Sometimes, it would uncontrollably listen to his orders. Gradually, it became more and more bloodthirsty. Shi Shang was relieved that the Taoist priest had killed him. However, it didn't change the fact that it was bloodthirsty. No one expected that there would be such a drama in the village. Monkeys shouldn't have appeared in the human world. They had paid the price for it. The villagers had also paid the price for what they had done. Who was cruel? From the monkeys' point of view, the villagers had killed them. If they didn't fight back, would they just wait to be killed and have their brains dug out? From the humans' point of view, monkeys were animals. Nothing would happen even if they were killed. The monkeys had killed their children. It was normal for them to kill the monkeys to avenge their children. From Shi Shang's point of view, it was quite fair. No one was cruel. It was just a different world. You were in another world and used the rules of another world to accuse me of wrongdoing. Isn't that funny? After Xie Wangqi killed the big monkey, the other monkeys were still alive. They were only affected by the big monkey's resentment. Now that the resentment had disappeared, the monkeys returned to normal. However, they were monkeys that had eaten human flesh. Xie Wangqi still had to get rid of them. The villagers had died long ago. The resentment had disappeared. The whole village had changed. It was dilapidated and dark red bloodstains were everywhere. Shi Shang was a bit confused. He didn't realize that the villagers were evil spirits. He just felt that they were a bit strange. Sun Che didn't seem to notice it either. It seemed that the spirit herb was quite powerful. Shi Shang's room was quite clean. It was probably a child's room in the past. Sun Che would stay here every few months, so the room was contaminated with spirit energy. Therefore, it still maintained its original appearance. Huang Yuan was already dead when she was found. There were scratches on her body caused by the monkeys. However, there was also a strange power around her. Sun Che subconsciously held Shi Shang's hand. It's nearby. I'm afraid of it. In her place, only those who were not capable would scheme behind the scenes. Those who were capable would just go straight to the point. Do you think everyone in this world is as violent as you? Shi Shang rolled his eyes in his heart. Is this violence? This is called using martial prowess to win people over. Violence is violence. Would it not be violence if you changed the word? Are you trying to fool an idiot? I'm just trying to fool you. Damn. Host, that's enough. Shi Shang couldn't be bothered with this pretty face system. It was useless except for complaining. A vase is also valuable. Shi Shang was speechless. But face, have you started to let yourself go? The system was so angry that it went offline. After forcing the system offline, Shi Shang looked at Huang Yuan's corpse that was being carried away. Her face was abnormally pale, and her eyes were wide open. It was as if she had seen something horrifying. Mr. Tsin, Miss Ji, please come with us. A man blocked Shi Shang's line of sight and spoke in a tough tone. Treat us to a meal? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. After such a big thing happened, you still want to eat? Prison food is more likely. The man put away his unnecessary emotions. We need to talk. No, I'm not in the mood. Shi Shang leaned against Sun Che and looked at the man calmly. The man was speechless. He turned around and contacted someone. After a while, he came back. Mr. Tsin, Miss Ji, can I treat you to a meal? Shi Shang's eyes curved. No, goodbye. The man was speechless. Didn't you just say you wanted to treat us to a meal? Why are you rejecting us now? What do you want? He was originally a good-natured person, but now he was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Just as he was about to lose his temper and tell them not to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, Xie Wangqi came over and asked the man to leave. It was obvious that Xie Wangqi had a higher status among these people. The man whispered a few words in Xie Wangqi's ear and left angrily. Xie Wangqi made sure that there was no one around before he spoke. Miss Ji, you said that Ji Tong had taken over your name and identity. What's going on? His gaze was fixed on Shi Shang, as if he was afraid to miss the expression on her face. Shi Shang looked up and met his gaze emotionlessly. Is it that hard to understand what I mean? Xie Wangqi didn't know why he was so bothered by what she said. It seemed like she had just said it casually. He took a deep breath. I'm sorry, it's really hard to understand. Ji Tong's identity can be found anywhere. How could he have taken over your name and identity and swapped bodies? This was the only way he could think of. In their line of work, there were many strange stories. It wasn't impossible for people to swap bodies. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows slightly. His face was full of sarcasm. If you want to know, you can ask your Ji Tong. I'm not anyone to you. Why should I answer your questions for free? If she had said it directly, he might have thought that she was lying. But she didn't say anything. It was as if she was saying, if you want to know, go ahead and find out what you find. This woman, Shi Shang swaggered away with Sun Che, and Ji-man Xie Wangqi forgot to stop them. When he came back to his senses, they were gone. The fake Ji Tong had suddenly exploded with so much power that his body became weak. He had to lie in the hospital for a few days. I'm fine. I can be discharged. Really? Dad, Mom, let me be discharged. It's just a small illness. It's not that serious. The fake Ji Tong acted coquettishly. No. How can you be fine when you're suddenly hospitalized? You have to have a proper checkup. Your health is the most important thing. Mother Ji refused with a straight face. Listen to your mom. We can rest assured if you have a proper checkup. Father Ji naturally spoke up for Mother Ji. Dad, I'm really fine. The fake Ji Tong pulled a long face. She had used up too much spiritual power. Plus, she had been chased by Monkey, so her body was weak. Listen to your mom. Otherwise, we won't have a good life if she keeps nagging about this. Father Ji patted the fake Ji Tong's head and lowered his voice to comfort him. The fake Ji Tong looked at Mother Ji's determined face. He had no choice but to listen to them. Xie Wangqi met the Ji family's parents at the door. He nodded slightly to greet them. Seeing that they were about to leave, he hesitated for a moment and called out to them. Uncle G, Auntie G, can we talk? The G family's parents looked at each other. They knew this person. He was close to their daughter. Judging from their relationship, they should be in an ambiguous stage. They wouldn't interfere with their daughter's relationship. Naturally, they wouldn't expose anything, so they treated Xie Wangqi as their daughter's friend. They didn't understand why Xie Wangqi looked so serious. Chapter 15-16. Xie Wangqi pushed open the door and entered. The fake Ji Tong was so scared that she looked at him with a pale face. Then, she looked away in a panic. She clenched her fists tightly under the blanket. She had heard Xie Wangqi ask her if there was anything different about her compared to before. He was suspecting her. The fake Ji Tong's reaction was so big that how could Xie Wangqi not notice it? His gaze fell on the shoes that were scattered on the floor because of her panic, and her legs that she didn't have time to cover completely. Xie Wangqi sat next to her. Did you hear everything? Brother Xie, what did I hear? The fake Ji Tong turned around and asked. She tried her best to hide the panic and nervousness on her face, but Xie Wangqi wasn't that easy to fool. You know what I'm talking about. The fake Ji Tong's expression froze. She bit her lower lip, and her heart was about to jump out. The ward suddenly fell silent, leaving only her slightly messy breathing. Brother Xie, do you believe me? Xie Wangqi said calmly, how would I know if I should believe you if you don't tell me? Xie Wangqi hadn't completely fallen in love with the fake Ji Tong yet, so he was rational. The fake Ji Tong's eyes turned red. I don't know what happened either. When the real Ji Tong came to me, didn't she show me 2 sketches? She asked me to find someone to draw them myself, but the sketch I saw was her face. She said she was the real Ji Tong, but in my memory, I grew up in the Ji family. There are no gaps in my memory. I'm Ji Tong. However, that sketch kept reminding me that I'm not Ji Tong. She's the real Ji Tong. I also suspected that she was behind it, but no matter how many people I found to sketch me, the face they drew wasn't mine. I even got someone to secretly draw it for her. In the end, it turned out to be me. The fake Ji Tong spoke very quickly, as if she was afraid that the person in front of her wouldn't believe her if she spoke slowly. Brother Xie, I really don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's like this. Xie Wangqi patted her shoulder and said in a softer voice, do you mean that the appearance you saw was different from the one we saw? The fake Ji Tong nodded. Xie Wangqi asked again, is your memory really fine? The fake Ji Tong continued to nod. I have all my memories from when I was young. Although my childhood memories are a little blurry, I remember all the important things. If she had lost her memory, she might have been able to accept it a little, but she didn't. Her life was complete, so she didn't want to believe that she had stolen someone else's life. I'll get to the bottom of this. Don't be afraid. Xie Wangqi comforted the fake Ji Tong. No matter who was behind this, he would get to the bottom of it. The fake Ji Tong took the opportunity to hug Xie Wangqi, looking cautious and nervous. Xie Wangqi patted her on the shoulder, and only then did fake Ji Tong relax. Sun Che had not returned to the villa for a few days. Before he even entered the villa, he felt that something was wrong. He paused and looked at the void in front of him. Come out. Sha sha sha, the leaves rustled in the breeze, making a pleasant sound. Outside the villa, everything was peaceful and there was nothing unusual. Sun Che, on the other hand, kept staring at the void as if someone was standing there. After a full 3 minutes, a corpse was thrown out of a bush in front of him. A breeze blew, and everything returned to normal. Sun Che walked to the corpse. This person was the middle-aged man who had come out to talk to him when they were eating at the restaurant. He had been coveting the item in Shishang's hands, so he had subconsciously diverted his attention. He didn't expect that he would be lying in ambush nearby and be killed by someone. The middle-aged man's eyes were wide open, and his face was pale. His expression was exactly the same as Huang Yuan's. There was a letter under the corpse. Sun Che reached out and took the letter out. The envelope was very old, as if it had been through countless years. The letter paper was even more ancient, and there were small characters written neatly on it. She and I must have a contract. She can only be mine. Stay away from her. This is a warning. Next time it will be your life. As soon as Tsun-che finished reading, the letter immediately turned to dust. A breeze blew, and it disappeared into the air. Tsun-che's lips curled up slightly. So it was a contract. No wonder her senses had weakened. He took out his phone and opened his contact list. He didn't need to search. The first person he was looking for was the person he was looking for. The call was quickly connected, and a doting voice sounded from the other end. What's wrong? Are you home? I sent you home just now, but you didn't let me. I want to see you. Tsun-che looked into the distance. Can you come to my house? Sure. Give me a moment. Tsun-che hung up the phone and looked into the distance provocatively. Look, she only listens to me. So what if you have a contract? She will never be yours. A strong wind suddenly came from afar, as if it wanted to sweep Tsun-che into the air. However, Tsun-che didn't move at all. He stood straight like a pine tree, looking into the distance with a cold expression. The wind stopped after a while, and the surroundings returned to silence. Tsun-che dragged the corpse into the villa and called someone to dispose of it. When Shang arrived, there was no corpse in the villa. Tsun-che stood at the door waiting for her. When she arrived, he didn't let her in. What? Shang wanted to go in, but Tsun-che reached out to stop her. Shang was a little impatient. Are you going to be a door god? Tsun-che glanced in another direction. He suddenly leaned over and kissed Shang on the cheek. Then, he rested his head on her shoulder. He's looking at us. He's very angry. He wants to kill me. Shang frowned and reached out to hold his waist. He's quite bold. What did he do to you? Tsun-che kissed her ear again. He's not strong enough to touch me. He killed an insignificant person. So, are you going to give me an explanation for the peach blossom debt you've incurred? Peach blossom debt. Tsun-che let go of her and pulled her into the villa. A strong gust of wind blew in from outside, and the door slammed with a loud bang. Tsun-che pressed Shang against the wall and stared at her quietly. He listened to the clanging sound beside him. When the sound stopped, he said, "You must have a ghost pact with him." There are many types of ghost pacts, but there are only two types that can make people ignore the existence of the other party. The first type is a master-servant relationship. The second type is a ghost marriage. F***ck. Shang cursed angrily. When she woke up, she was in the palanquin. They hadn't reached the destination yet, so the ghost pact shouldn't have been formed. Could it be that those people had done something before this? A bunch of F***king idiots. I have nothing to do with him. Shang held Tsun-che's face. Of course I know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in my arms right now. Tsun-che chuckled. Shang rolled up her sleeves. Her expression was vicious. I'll go out and kill him. ## begging for Berbera-flavored votes today. #Berbera, Bo, 4 times. Vote monthly, vote monthly. Ah. Chapter 15-17. He's gone. Tsun-che grabbed Shang's arm. Shang reached out to touch Tsun-che's body, as if to make sure that he was all right. But his eyes were fixed in the distance. His eyes were dark and he couldn't see anything. I'll live with you from now on. Are you okay with that? Shang was expressionless. If Tsun-che dared to say anything, he would immediately dismember him on the spot. Tsun-che was a little speechless. It was clearly her fault. Why was she acting so self-righteous now? The villa is very big. Tsun-che pushed his hand away and walked inside. I said I'll live with you. Shang emphasized and followed him. We'll sleep in the same room and on the same bed. Tsun-che stumbled as he walked up the stairs. He held onto the handrail next to him to steady himself. He turned around and looked at the girl behind him. Even if you have the spiritual aura to protect your body, you can't stay with me for too long. Shi Shang looked up at him. So what do you think about the resurrection? Sun Che's lips moved, but no sound came out. He turned around and walked into the villa. If she wanted to exchange someone else's life for his, he would have no objection. But if she wanted to exchange her life for his heart would ache. His heart would ache. Although his heart wouldn't beat. Shi Shang didn't follow him in. Instead, he walked around the villa twice and then climbed in through the window. Sun Che stood in front of the window and reached out to catch her. He blurted out, "Why do you like to climb through the window so much?" The girl put her arms around his neck and hung on him. "It's convenient." Sun Che shook his head and hugged her to prevent her from sliding down. "Don't hang on me for too long. You'll feel uncomfortable." Shi Shang rolled his eyes. "Then let go of me first." Sun Che was embarrassed, but he didn't let go. He carried her to the sofa. "Do you want to eat something?" "Nonsense. I'm not you. I don't eat anything in this world. But there's nothing in the villa that you can eat." He didn't need to eat, so the villa didn't prepare any ingredients. "I don't mind eating you." Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at him. His lips were close to the side of his face, like a feather sweeping back and forth as he walked. Sun Che swallowed. Her words made him unable to move his feet. Hugging her was like hugging a heater, and the stiffness in his limbs disappeared. He really liked her. He wanted to keep hugging her, Sun Che stopped the idea and put her on the sofa. He said seriously, "I'll ask someone to send some over in a while. You live here, so you have to prepare it often. Later, I'll ask someone to send it over every day. What do you like to eat? What don't you like?" "I'm fine with anything. I'm not like you, a picky eater." Sun Che. He wasn't eating now. How was he picky? "Because I live alone in the villa, I've always turned on the air conditioner just in case. I'll turn it off later, so it shouldn't be so cold." As he spoke, he took out a blanket and covered her with it. Then, he passed the computer beside him to her. "Play by yourself for a while. I'll be back soon." Shi Shang. She seemed to have become long-winded, but it was also pretty good. The villa's refrigeration system was turned off, but the coldness did not disappear at all. The coldness was not caused by the air conditioner, but by him. He was a mobile refrigeration system, the kind that even hugged in the summer would feel cold. Sun Che quickly came back with the food. However, because he had gone through it once, the food that was originally hot was now cold. I'll go heat it up." Sun Che was a little embarrassed. "No, I'll go by myself." Shi Shang stopped him. "I'm afraid that if you go, I won't be able to eat tomorrow." Sun Che lowered his head. "Are you despising me?" "Despising you, my foot." Shi Shang rolled his eyes. "I'm just afraid that I'll starve to death because of you." Sun Che followed her into the kitchen and stood at the door to watch her put the food into the microwave. Fortunately, everything was prepared when the villa was renovated. Otherwise, she would have to eat frozen food today. Shi Shang quickly solved the problem of food and clothing. Sun Che dawdled in from the kitchen door. "I'll clean it up. You can go wash up." Shi Shang hated the kitchen the most. When he heard Shi Shang's words, he quickly ran away. Sun Che was speechless. How rude. It was a takeout, so there was not much to clean up. Sun Che quickly cleaned up. He felt a little strange. He had never done these things before, but he did it so smoothly. It was as if he had done it many times. Sun Che went back to his room in confusion. There was the sound of running water in the bathroom. He looked around and was sure that it was his room. Didn't he tell her that her room was next door? Splash. The bathroom door suddenly opened a crack. A hand with water droplets on it reached out. "Get me my clothes." Sun Che looked around. "You didn't bring a change of clothes. Don't you know how to get yours?" Shi Shang's voice was a little muffled because of the door, but he could tell that she was angry. "Hurry up, or I'll come out like this." Sun Che's expression froze. He turned around and opened his wardrobe. He picked out a long t-shirt and a jacket and handed them to her. Shang came out wrapped in the jacket. The tip of her nose was red. She sniffled, ignored Sun Che, and walked straight to the bed. In the blink of an eye, she shrank into the bed. Sun Che looked at her series of actions. After a while, he walked to the bed. "Your room is next door. We agreed to sleep in the same room and bed." Shang wrapped herself up like a silkworm. She was cold. "When did we agree?" He did not agree to it at all. "Now," Shang said matter-of-factly. Sun Che was speechless. He looked at the person on the bed. He really wanted to go over and hug her, but if he did, she would be cold. He could only resist. "I'll go next door. Call me if you need me." It was fine if he did not rest. Shang suddenly raised his hand. The door, which was still open, was pulled by the wind and locked with a click. Sun Che pulled several times but could not open it. "Ji Tong." Sun Che turned around and raised his voice. "Are you kidding with your life? Are you yelling at me?" The aura that Sun Che had worked so hard to build up suddenly disappeared. He tightened his grip on the doorknob, then loosened it, then tightened it again. After a while, he walked back to the bed and explained softly, "It's not that I don't want to be with you. I can't." "So when will you think about your resurrection?" Sun Che finally understood. She was not forcing him to make a decision. She did not intend to let him go. "I'll think about it. Let me out first." "You can go out when you've thought about it." "Ji Tong." "Yes." He looked down at the person on the bed. "I don't want you to take risks for me. Life is about taking risks. Don't worry. If something happens to me, I won't leave you alone." Sun Che opened his mouth, but in the end, he swallowed his words. "I promise you, okay? Open the door." Shang pursed his lips. The door opened slightly. Sun Che bent down and kissed her forehead. "Good night. Get lost." Sun Che was speechless. She was not gentle at all. Why did he like her? Chapter 15:18. The night was as still as water, and the world was silent. The man sat on the edge of the bed and looked out of the window. The moonlight shone down on the trees like a thin veil, and it was full of loneliness. There was no light in his eyes, like an abyss that could not see the light of day. There was no life in them. He was dead. Sun Che suddenly got up, opened the door and went out. He went straight to the room where Shang was. He opened the door and the room was dark, but he knew that there was no one on the bed. She was not there. Sun Che stood at the door for a long time, thinking about something. He did not enter the room until dawn and lay down on the bed. The gray room gradually brightened, and the sounds outside became three-dimensional and vivid. He heard a slight noise from the window, and her breath gradually invaded his nostrils. Where have you been?" Two voices sounded at the same time. The first was a brief moment of confusion, and the second was a calm question. "I thought I was in the wrong room." Shang sat on the edge of the bed and looked at him, but he still explained his whereabouts clearly. "I went to kill a village last night and asked about something." "No wonder you don't want to sleep with me," Sun Che said calmly. He was slightly puzzled, as if he did not understand why he said such a thing. "I'll take you there. It'll be a waste of time." Shang smiled and explained. "It's very far." She could go back and forth with the iron sword very quickly, but she had to consider the endurance of his body when taking him with her. Sun Che sat up from the bed. He did not ask her why she killed people, nor did he ask her what happened. "I have classes today." Shang thought for a moment. "I have classes too." Then she pushed him down and rubbed her face against his neck. She kissed his neck. "But it's okay if you don't do it." Sun Che struggled to get up. "Stop fooling around. You obviously want to. Shi Shang lay on top of him and chuckled. It's different. Sun Che pushed her away. I asked someone to buy you clothes. They're in my wardrobe. You can take them. I'll make breakfast for you. He was practically running away in defeat. He missed her very much, but he could restrain himself. With his current physical condition, he would never touch her. Shi Shang sighed as he lay on the bed. He opened the wardrobe and looked inside. The wardrobe was full of clothes, inside and out. Nothing was left out. Shi Shang pinched the lace bra. So this is what he likes. The breakfast was naturally cold. She reheated the Shi Shang on her own. Sun Che consciously walked away and waited for her to finish eating before coming over. Shi Shang sent Sun Che to school. Right now, rumors about them were flying everywhere. Since the two main leads didn't deny it, the gossipers silently agreed that the two were really together. Sun Che was an aloof male god with his own refrigeration system. When he suddenly fell in love, it really caught people off guard. Seeing Sun Che enter the school, Shi Shang slowly walked back to his own school, wondering if he should transfer to another school. After all, it was not convenient for him to be in a relationship with another school. You went there together. Why are you fine? Why did my son have an accident? Tell me, why are you fine? Why are you pretending to be mute? Why did my son have an accident? You're a jinx. So many children went there. Why are you the only one alive? There were a lot of people around the school gate. Sharp and ear-piercing curses came from inside. Shi Shang's sharp senses caught a few words and she could roughly guess who the person inside was. The incident in the village was so strange that they did not dare to talk about it openly. The police could only make up a reason to deceive the parents of the dead students and compensate them with a large sum of money. Although it was a little too much, it was better not to let the public know about this kind of supernatural incident. It was to avoid unnecessary panic. Shi Shang squeezed into the crowd of onlookers and saw Ji-Man, who was surrounded by a few family members of the deceased. Ji-Man defended herself angrily, but these people did not listen to her at all. Their voices were very loud, and her voice was completely suppressed. The woman who spoke the most agitatedly suddenly wanted to hit Ji-Man. Why don't you go die? Why did you come back? The woman's vicious words were like a needle piercing Ji-Man's heart. Seeing that the woman was about to hit her, Ji-Man's body was pulled back. A pair of white hands easily blocked the woman and pushed her back fiercely. Shi Shang stared at the woman with a gloomy face. Before she could shout, he said, Ji-Man is already merciful that she did not ask you for compensation for her mental trauma. How dare you shout in front of her? Do you really think your son died in an accident? They are. Ji Tong. Xie Wangqi's voice came from the crowd with a bit of anger. Shi Shang ignored him and continued, they must have seen a ghost. They should pay for their own sins. Don't make it seem like the whole world owes you. You're just a joke to others. Shi Shang dragged Ji-Man away. The woman did not even react. The onlookers in front involuntarily made way for Shi Shang and Shi Shang. Just as Shi Shang was about to walk out, she suddenly turned back. Oh right, Ji-Man is not the only one alive. There is another person. Don't think that just because Ji-Man is easy to bully, you can come and make trouble. Next time I see you, I will kill you. The woman suddenly met Shi Shang's gaze. She was shocked. How could this little girl's gaze be so scary? Until Shi Shang and Ji-Man disappeared in front of them, the atmosphere eased a bit. Everyone started to whisper to each other. What the hell? What happened? I heard that 4 people who went to that place died. Only Ji-Man and the campus belle Ji Tong came back. I don't know what happened. Why didn't I hear about it? The school suppressed the news. How could they let you know? I only heard about it from the teachers occasionally. 4 people died. This is too scary. Xie Wangqi saw that things were getting out of hand. His face turned black. That woman really wanted to see the world in chaos. It was not easy for them to suppress this matter and let the school communicate with the family members to not make a big deal out of it. Now, everything they did before was in vain. Shang dragged Ji-man and walked for a distance. The people around them gradually decreased and Shang's speed also slowed down. Ji-man followed him silently. When they were about to reach the classroom, Ji-man called her in a low voice, Xiao Tong. The morning sun was just right. The golden rays of light fell and plated a thin layer of light on her face. The warm temperature couldn't disperse the coldness in Ji-man's body. She raised her head and welcomed the scorching sun. Her voice was soft. I want to go abroad. Although Ji-man's family was not rich, it was above average. It was not a problem for her to go abroad. A change of environment is good. Shang replied faintly. Ji-man held Shang's hand and said firmly, I will come back. She just needed some time to digest what happened before. After all, she was just an ordinary person. For people died in front of her. Vote, vote. Vote, vote, vote. Chapter 1519. Ji-man chose to leave, but the news of what had happened in the village still spread. As the saying goes, paper can't hide fire. This incident involved more than one person. Plus, these people's friends and classmates had more or less heard from them that they were going to the village. How could it be stopped when so many people were talking? This incident was so big that the school had to make an official statement. The family members probably thought that they could get some benefits by making a fuss, so they didn't listen to the school or Xie Wangqi. Instead, they kept making a fuss at the school. Shang heard that the family members had received a huge amount of compensation in the end, so they stopped making a fuss. Some people was simply a world-class disaster when they were unreasonable. Their own child had died, but they only thought about how to maximize their benefits. This was human nature. Hey, I heard that Senior Tsen Che from the school next door was almost hit by a car. If it weren't for someone riding a bicycle, the person lying in the hospital would be Senior Tsen Che. Two girls talked as they walked forward. That cyclist is so pitiful. Hey, did someone pass by just now? No. The accident scene was just outside Tsen Che's school. The scene was almost cleaned up and the onlookers had mostly dispersed. Shang called Tsen Che, but his phone was turned off. She asked the people at the scene and found out that Tsen Che had been taken to the police station. Shang hurried to the police station. The police outside refused to let her in, so she almost got into a fight with them. Just then, a car stopped quietly. Sister, sister. The childish voice stopped Shang's fists. She turned around and saw the little girl she had seen before leaning against the window and waving at her. Next to the little girl sat a woman with exquisite makeup. She was looking at her with a smile. Sister, get in the car. I'll take you to my brother. The little girl continued waving at Shang. Shang considered whether it would be faster to get in by taxi or by car. In the end, she chose the car. This is my mommy and my brother's mommy. You can call me mommy when I'm with my brother. The little girl introduced her to Shang excitedly. Shang. She only wanted to see Tsen Che now. Hello, Auntie. Shang suppressed the anger in her heart and greeted Tsen Che's mother. You're Ji Tong, right? Tsen Che's mother replied with a smile. You should know about Tsen Che's situation, so I won't say more. You have to think carefully when you're with him. Your life is yours. Shang glanced sideways slightly. Tsen Che's mother, Tsen Che. The car gradually stabilized. Shang opened the car door, her voice drifted into the car. I've thought it through. Tsen Mu watched as Shang's figure disappeared through the door. She patted the little girl's head. We're going to have a new member. Are you happy? Tsen Che to be, Auntie to Tsen Tong to be to Tsensen Tsen Che. Tsensen Mother Tsen smiled faintly and opened the car door to get out. The little girl pouted and climbed out of the car on all fours. Tsen. Tsin Che. Tsen Tsin Tsin Tsin, Tsen Tsin Tsin, Tsen, Tsen Tsin 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 Tsin, Tsen, she's my girlfriend. Tsin Che explained to the police. Then it's not a big deal. You just have to sign the papers. Please have a seat. The police left to give Shi Shang and Tsin Che some space. Did he do it? Tsin Che nodded. Shi Shang's expression darkened. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The system trembled. This was the first time Tsin Che wanted to kill a person, no, a ghost. Even in the real world, she didn't have such a strong murderous intent. Was Feng Ci her reverse scale? She would die if she touched him. Shivering. JPG, don't be angry. Tsin Che comforted her. I'm fine, aren't I? Shi Shang calmed himself down and caressed Tsin Che's cheek. Then, he leaned over and kissed him. Tsin Che wanted to back away, but Shi Shang pressed him against the table. Don't. Tsin Che opened his mouth. His cold tongue was suddenly wrapped in warmth and softness. She explored his cold mouth and warmed it up. Tsin Che felt uncomfortable. It was difficult for him to maintain this position. In the next second, someone held his waist and supported his weight. Tsin Che was dizzy from the kiss, but he was still rational. He pushed Shi Shang's shoulder and said, Xiao Tong, this is a police station. There are surveillance cameras. They can't see it. Shi Shang comforted him. Be serious. Don't be distracted. Tsin Che's rationality disappeared instantly. He didn't know that kissing felt so good. Tsin Che's body was nourished with spiritual energy. Although he was not alive, his body was much cleaner than ordinary people. In the words of the other planes, this was already considered a spiritual body. Whoever obtained such a spiritual body would be able to save a few decades of cultivation. Shi Shang let go of him after a long time. Then, he gently licked his lips clean. Tsin Che was panting slightly. His lips were abnormally red, which added some liveliness to his pale face. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but the paleness on his face seemed to have faded a little. Do you feel uncomfortable? Tsin Che looked at Shi Shang carefully. Shi Shang touched his chest and said honestly, a little. The spiritual energy in his body kept seeping into her body. It was extremely cold. The coldness couldn't be melted. It moved around her body, trying to do something. Don't kiss me like this in the future. She felt cold, but he felt warm. It was like drinking a cup of hot water. It slid from his throat to his stomach, then spread to his limbs and moved through his blood. It was warm. He hadn't felt this way for a long time. It was the feeling of being alive. He was afraid that if he did it a few more times, he would get addicted. Oh. Shi Shang answered casually. Obviously, he didn't take it to heart. Tsin Che instinctively knew what he meant. Just as he was about to emphasize it, the police came in. They looked normal, as if they didn't know what they were doing. Sign here and you can leave. The police handed a document to Tsin Che. Tsin Che took it. His fingertips didn't even touch the police, but the police instinctively shivered and looked at Tsin Che strangely. This man was like a dead man. The room seemed to be colder than before. After Tsin Che signed the document, the police immediately took them out. Tsin Che's mother was holding the little girl's hand in the living room. When the little girl saw them, she immediately broke free from her mother and ran over. Brother, 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 are you okay? The little girl wanted to hug Tsin Che, but she stopped in the end. She looked at Tsin Che pitifully. Tsin Che reached out and touched her head. I'm fine. Shi Shang stared at his hand, then looked at the little girl. Finally, he pretended not to see anything and looked away. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.